Riddle me this, listeners, viewers, watchers. Who's got 8 eyes, a ton of opinions, and a whole podcast where we can talk about them? It's us. Spoilers, it's us. Welcome to the Fake Nerd Podcast, episode 275. We're here to talk about what movie came out that wasn't the Batman this week that I can say.
Did anything?
Did anything else?
Yes, something did.
Wait, The Boys Diabolical came out this week.
The Boys Diabolical. That's what we're talking about. I definitely am not going to watch that show. Welcome. We're going to talk about the Batman. That is our topic for this week.
I was going to say, apparently the last episode is canon to the
show. I guess we're going to have to watch that now.
Spoilers. It's the origin of Homelander joining the Seven.
Oh, I'll watch that.
Okay.
Hey, guys. Welcome. We're talking about the Batman. That is the topic. Brandon, you got any links for us before we get into the week?
Well, do you want to introduce us?
I don't know what's going on anymore. You're right. I'm Ryan. I got Sparks next to me.
Hey, what's up?
I got Brandon keeping
Hello.
things going. And I got Ben, Mr. Tarnished friend over here.
Yeah, we play some Elden Ring today.
Not enough, my friend. Not enough.
Not even close to enough.
So, I was looking at our YouTube channel. Today, and I just noticed we got a badge that says we have passed 10,000 views.
I saw that earlier this week, too.
Wow.
When I was uploading our pause menu, I saw that, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Congratulations, us.
Every little bit counts.
Thanks, Matrix Resurrections review, for being
And Space Sweepers.
popular and Space Sweepers.
No kidding. Like, wild.
What else was like Game of Thrones episode 1 of season 8? That was a big one too, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. I can't
I'm
remember.
shocked that the Matrix Resurrections and this time frame haven't been out for this long. That has that much.
I know,
I-
because it's like a smaller movie.
I'm
Yeah.
certain it's because we put positive in the description.
Yeah.
Both in the title and the description. There's just not enough reviews out there where they know that's the opinion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
I think that made a difference.
We should do that for everything. 1 second. Let me change this. No, I'm kidding.
They're not always positive reviews, and they're not always as contentious a film.
We hate it.
Okay. Yes, as Ryan said, we do have some links in the description. Once again, my Screen Rant stuff is linked below. I put up a couple of Picard pieces. Well, I didn't, but I wrote a couple of Picard pieces that went up. One where I ranked all the methods of time travel within the Star Trek universe. That was a lot of fun. I think my Battlestar piece went up last week. Really enjoyed that one. Writing this about Adama's most profound quotes. There's another one that like has a bunch of like links to the episodes of Star Trek that Picard is referencing this season. So like, where does the time travel method comes from? It comes from this episode and yada, yada, yada. So that was a lot of fun. So there's some stuff up there that you can check out. I think there's tons more. Just link below. Look up my name. You can find them all. Ben, last week I missed your OSG article. So I put it once again. It's in the description now, but I missed it for the live show. And to make up for that, I've done it now. So
I appreciate that.
It's down there if you want to talk a bit about that as well.
Yeah, it's about the news of the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U eShops closing, and essentially kind of like it's an opinion piece on the backlash, and also that it was expected to happen since the Switch is making gangbusters and more people own a Switch than they do a 3DS and Wii U, and now a bunch of people are clamoring to the 3DS and Wii U, loading up on the eShop, downloading those games before those games are gone. And a lot of them are really cheap. Like, for example, I plan to get Pokemon Silver and Crystal versions on my 3DS because the physical carts are still stupid expensive. I can tell you they're still stupid expensive because I was at SoCal Gaming Retro Expo last week, and dear God, they're still stupid expensive. They won't stop.
They're only going to get more expensive now.
Yeah,
They are stupid expensive.
Stupid expensive.
I did not put up a new Infinity Saga piece. I had it almost done, you guys. I just needed to write the conclusion, and then like my week blew up, and so like I just didn't get it done. I'm really bummed that was late. So that'll be this coming week. And
The best of us.
yeah, and Ben, you have 2 new episodes once again. Racing Live, parts 13 and 14.
Yep, we are still checking on with Super Mario 3D World. I'm trying to think exactly what happened. Oh, there's like this really cool bit or not a cool bit. It was a dumb bit on my part because in that game where if one character goes further away, the other character gets collapsed in a bubble.
Yes,
and then you've
I'm watching your series.
Yeah, I know you're watching it. So I popped my own bubble and then I fall to my own death.
I saw that. That's pretty funny.
It was a definite womp womp moment. And also, I had a Fireflower power up too, so that made me even more mad.
Yeah, it's a good series though. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And Ben, once again,
Jesus, what did I do?
Basement Arcade pause menu went up this week. So both the video and audio links are down below on this channel.
Yep, that's it. I am joined by the Well-Read Mage. He is a streamer, a podcaster. He has his own website, the-pixels.com, and he and I sit down and we talk about physical and digital game collecting. It's got that debate has kind of declined over the years, but some people still bring it up. Of course, whatever your preference is, that's your preference. You do you. But we do talk about like the pros and cons of both, because sometimes like you might have the physical game, but something they can get stolen, they can get destroyed or disc rot, like I talked with Retro Zoya a few weeks ago. And then with the digital games, it's like you don't technically own that. You just own the license to turn it on whenever you can. But if your hard drive gets wiped, then it's gone. It's gone for good. And now with the 3DS and Wii U shops closing, it's even more prevalent.
Yeah. And then finally, linked below is my 10th episode of the Fake Nerds Watch for Star Trek Discovery Season 4. That's with Michael Carls of the Downright Nerd Podcast, and then Cookie from Just a Little Podcast pops in about halfway through. That's that. I talked a bit about that episode last week as well. It's been a fun series to do with them. I'm really glad it's almost over.
Uh-oh.
Episode 11 has not been recorded yet. Michael Carls went to Disneyland, that little bitch.
And
Lucky son.
I saw some friends. That's so nice.
Yeah. And Cookie, had adulting to do. So we just didn't get the chance to record Discovery season 4, episode 11 yet. We will hopefully get that out this week. Or ideally, we'll just wait till it's done and talk about the last 3 episodes. Because there is not a lot of plot happening in this show right now, and it's very frustrating.
That's an hour-long show, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Definitely starting to grind my gears.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And like with those hour-long shows, man, you feel it too when nothing's happening.
You really do. And but what's so interesting is they're fluffy. So they're like, here's something exciting that's happening, and we think we're doing some plot. But you're like, there's no story progression in the last 4 episodes of the show.
It's just like cool things happening, and they're like plot stuff.
Yeah. It's very frustrating.
It's like, you lied to me.
You got to get to those syndication numbers, man. You got to get 100 episodes.
Doesn't matter for streaming. Why are you doing this to me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah.
I know. Just like
It's the mentality.
you got to make all these episodes,
Yeah.
and like not all of them are gonna.
And it's a bummer because like Discovery always starts strong, and then this season and last season, quite frankly, like just loses steam by the end of it. They just don't have enough plot to get you through 13 episodes. So stay tuned for more of that discussion on the Fake Nerds Watch for Star Trek Discovery Season 4. And we will also be starting our Picard Season 2 discussion, which so far sounds like it's going to be a way more positive experience. I'll get to that when in my week. And that's all the description. That's all the links in the description. Check them out. We do some really fun stuff on this channel. Outside of this channel, check them all out. Great stuff. Who wants to go first that week?
I'll go because I did one thing, and then I liked it so much I put a ring on it, and that ring is called Elden Ring. Real quick, sorry. So V is the name of your main character in Cyberpunk 2077. I want to apologize to V because I did not say hi to that guy all week. I got lost in the sauce of Elden Ring, so sorry, V. I'll come back to you. Who knows when at this point, guys. Elden Ring's really good. Obviously, you've heard the hype. You've seen everyone talk about it online. Like this is like one of those like once in a like console generation type of games. Like the first, I put 25 hours in. The first 15 hours, it was a great game. It's a great Souls game. It's open world, all this great stuff. Once I started to get into the depth of it and like not just the surface level stuff, I truly saw like, wow, this game is really special. Like really, really special. This game took so long to make, and now I play so many open world games, and how many of them are so cookie cutter and of like it's like the same different like rock formations and cliffs, and like you can tell that it's like, yo, they made this game in a year, right? Everything feels handcrafted, handmade. There are so many little nooks and crannies, so many little caves to explore. There are dozens of little catacombs for you to explore to find new weapons and fight bosses. There are 84 bosses in this game. That's unfathomably big. That's like 4 Dark Souls games. This game is so large. There are 5 Elden Lords. There are 5 big bosses, right? I beat the first Elden Lord at 20 hours. I thought I explored most of the game. I get past the part where I beat that guy and I open to the next part of the world, and the map like doubles in size. And I literally say, oh my God. It is unfathomably large, and it's not large just to be large. There's stuff to do almost everywhere. I don't need to say anymore, because like this is one of those games that's not like Cyberpunk where it's so rich in story, even though there's a lot of lore. You have to go exploring for it. Right now I'm kind of just playing the game. It is one of the greatest video games ever made. The feeling of it, the exploration of it, like it's so easy to play with your friends. Magic used to be really hard in Dark Souls. Like you really had to like level up really hard. Like early magic is not fun in any of the Souls games. Early magic in this game is insanely fun, and you can do it from the get-go. And you can do magic and melee at the same time if you want. Like they really made it an accessible Dark Souls game while still having all the challenge that it's known for. I love it. I played only an hour with Ben, but like it is truly, like other people have said, it is the best Dungeons and Dragons game ever made. Just like the adventure. Yeah, go ahead. The adventure that you can just go on with your friends is endless. You can play this game forever with your friends just walking around.
Yeah. So I got Elden Ring this week. I finally got it. I'm going to echo a lot of what Ryan said, but the thing about like when I got out of flashback to 5 years ago, I played Breath of the Wild for the first time. I get the glider. I go to the plateau. I see how big the map is. I felt that exact same wonder when I got out of the tutorial for Elden Ring. Like when I saw how big the world is, when I saw the big giant golden tree, the Eld tree, and I'm like, holy shit.
It's like a moment. Like when you leave the tutorial zone, you open a door, and then you've been to the...
I've been there.
Yeah, so you open it and you're like, oh, this is how big the world is? No, it's literally 5 times bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Even bigger.
Yeah, I only played for a hot second, like for an hour or so last night. Funny enough, I streamed it on my Twitch last night at 4:00 in the morning because that was the only time. Don't worry, I'll get into that. But outside of that, the game is gorgeous. And you guys know, since I got my PS5, I've only been playing Demon Souls, some Fortnite, and Knockout City. But as much as Demon Souls is good, I still can't get past the Tower Knight. And that game, and I'm just so used to, I know the Lord's path forwards and backwards by now, but it's like I can't beat the damn boss. And it should be the easiest boss in the whole game. The second I started playing Elden Ring, something I don't know if it's because it just clicked, the controls feel better. This game just feels fun. There's new mechanics that are really, really great. And I absolutely love it. I'm only a few hours in, but this game is just gorgeous and beautiful. And ooh, man, this game is great. I'm only a few hours in. That's the thing. I'm only a few hours in. And every time when I died in Elden Ring, I've only died a few times. But when I did die, I was like, no, I'm going to try that again. But I'm going to do it a different way this time. Because you can. It's like there's this big-ass boss right when you first walk in who can wipe the floor with you, but you can run away. You can save yourself, level up, and come back. It's awesome.
That is the beauty, like the great thing about this game is because like you were talking, like the Tower Knight, all you can do in Demon Souls is fight the Tower Knight or go back to the previous level and grind. In Elden Ring, you're like, oh, I can't beat him. I can go play the game for 50 hours and come back and hit him once and kill him. That's what I did with the first, like one of the first like big bosses, not the Elden boss, but like one of the first major bosses. I leveled up for 10 hours and I beat him almost instantly. And I'm like, yeah, this feels good. This is really good.
And that's really the difference is that it doesn't feel like grind. It feels like getting to play the game.
Yeah.
During that time. Hi, I'm Sparks Woody, and I also played Elden Ring this week. I'm 3 hours into the game, and I would make my analogy of I am like Squidward taking that teeny tiniest morsel of a Krabby Patty and like barely putting it in my mouth, and then being shown a whole new universe of flavor. So I'm enjoying it. I understand more through the osmosis of people I follow on Twitter, podcasts I listen to, and Ryan, and memes. I understand the potential of what I'm diving into, and I'm happy and I'm content. And I'm like, I think the nicest thing is that I think Elden Ring, I don't feel the same pressure to see myself carry through, because like I think there's a feeling, just like you were saying, Ben, like if I hit that kind of point, this has been the thing that deters me away from things like Dark Souls in the past, which I still like, I have a fascination and interest in. But if I hit that wall, and I gotta go grind, I'm probably just never gonna play the game.
Yeah.
Again. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's where I know I'm at, and I don't feel that way with Elden Ring. I'm like, don't want to go in this room. I'll go somewhere else, and I love it. I love it. I can just go somewhere else and do something else, and it's great.
And you're constantly rewarded. Unlike other open world games, like even Breath of the Wild, I love that game. The amount of stuff you find in this game is insane. Like every corner, whether it's just flowers to pick, or like a dead body that you have like a ring that you can wear or a piece of armor, it's always rewarding you for exploring.
I literally was fighting a bunch of dudes, and I didn't mean to, and I jumped over a barrier, and I fell into a stairwell in the bottom, and it was like, hey, there's a chest in here, and I'm like, oh, well, neat. And then I died, but I went back and got the chest later when I was more sneaky about it.
But it was like something that like you accidentally discovered.
Yes, I just like leaped over a wall because I thought I was just going to run, and I fell into a chest room.
So when I was playing with Ryan earlier today, there's this camp in the front of the gates that you're supposed to go through that progresses or it leads to progression of the story. And I've been through that camp like maybe like once or twice or whatever. I'm trying to kill all the enemies there, and there's this one really strong guy there, so I'm trying to kill everyone else and then go after him. But so Ryan and I, we clear some of the guys out, and then Ryan's like, hey, have you come inside this stairwell? I'm like, I didn't even know that was there. And Ryan was mentioning earlier about how there's a bunch of caves. After Ryan logged off, I had a little bit of time before Fan came home from work. I found a new cave, and I went in it. I haven't fought the boss yet because I had to stop and get dinner ready and then come here and record. But I'm going to try and go in for another boss.
They're everywhere. Like 84 bosses. Like that sounds like a lot, and it is. Like the amount of named unique bosses with entire incredible movesets it's just like game developers are like game development is so hard, and I'm not calling anyone lazy, but a game like Elden Ring comes out and you're like, wow, what is everybody else doing? It's just like, it's so crazy. It's
being
like,
underpaid to over deliver.
Yes. It's like, we are so used to it's like, oh, we have to make these 100-hour games that have fluff that like is like meaningless. Like again, like Assassin's Creed, collect 100 feathers to get like a new bow. And I'm like, cool. What does that mean for like the story or anything? Everything here has lore implications because like you'll find a random soldier in a cave and how he died. Like the weapon will have lore on why he's there and stuff. And it's like, it all adds to like just little riches. It's so rich.
I think Renata Price on Waypoint captured it very well in describing like they're able to build their character and like the reason their charter is exploring the world the way they are. It's truly like role playing if you want it to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it encourages that, and that's an incredibly rewarding experience.
Again, like the D&D
very, very happy with it. Yeah. And I'm very happy that I killed a dude, like a powerful dude. I killed him without touching him because I used ashes, and it was good.
Ryan and I.
Oh yeah, there's like
the first boss. The first boss I fought, Ryan and I went in and fought him together, and we beat him on the first try.
Was it the hammer guy?
It was the Warhammer guy.
That guy's cool. He has swinging like hammers. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kick his ass.
And I mean, to mention like Sparks, you said earlier about Demon Souls, about how you just get to a certain point and you quit. I've done that a few times this week. I've gotten to a certain point, I keep freaking dying, and I'm like, I'm sick and tired of this. I hate going. I want to see somewhere else. Whereas, even though I barely scratched the surface of Elden Ring. I'm like, I have all this area. I want to go that way. I want to go over there. I'm in this new cave with a bunch of wolves. I killed all the wolves, and now there's a boss in there. I got to wait to fight the boss, but oh my God, I can't wait to do this. This is awesome.
So I'm 25 hours in. I've just discovered the third zone. Apparently there are 5 zones.
Oh.
And I'm just like, how can this map get any bigger? I don't know how it can get bigger.
I think another thing I appreciate about it is I don't feel the same pressure that I think comes with a lot of other things. Like our count doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciative of that. Where it's like, your 25 hours could be somebody else's 40 hours as far as like how much of the narrative of the game you've gone through. And like I'm glad
I've done comparatively less narrative.
I love logging out of Elden Ring at 3 hours and it's like 0% complete.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah. I have 3 achievements out of like 50 and I'm 25 hours in. I'm like, I'm never getting this platinum. No way.
I got 1 trophy in Demon Souls and I have 0% progress made in Elden Ring. But at the same time, I'm like, once again, gun to my head, I'm going back to Elden Ring than Demon Souls. If I do play Demon Souls, it's going to be co-op with a friend. That's because that's how I play Dark Souls, and I found it more fun that way.
Yeah, like after Elden Ring, like co-op, like this makes me the thing that I've heard people say is like this makes them appreciate like the Souls games more, so they can go back to the older ones and they'll have like a newfound like, okay, I kind of know what to do because I put so much time into Elden Ring and it's the same mechanics. So like it might be
rewarding.
They are not lesser games because they're not open world. They're more narratively focused and like I guess harder in that way because you can't go anywhere. But like this, like people going back to, oh, I'm gonna play Bloodborne now because I never did. I'm like, cool, Bloodborne is also one of the greatest games ever made. Like it's a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, you'll be hearing us talk a lot more about Elden Ring on Pause Menu soon.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Ben and
I was just about to say, like, once we get a few more hours into Elden Ring, we gotta do an Elden Ring episode.
I want. It's all I think about, and that's all I'm going to be playing probably for the next couple of weeks. That's my week. It's Elden Ring.
If we're able to do it, I want all three of us stream Elden Ring together.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I will take that baton and I will not talk anymore about Elden Ring.
I mean,
instead, I'm going to say I watched an episode of How I Met Your Father. It's still good.
I'm behind on that. 2 episodes.
Enjoying it. Solid show. Murderville released outtakes, and they were good. I enjoyed them quite a lot. They're like 10 minutes of outtakes, and they were very entertaining. Megan and I watched Game Night because you'll recall last week we talked about watching Lovebirds, and it made us want to watch other kind of comedies like that. No, that's Date Night, which we also watched.
Oh,
we watched Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams because we just wanted to watch one of the best comedies ever made in the past decade.
Love that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That movie is so good, and it's still so good, guys. And we also watched Date Night, which has a little bit of some stuff that's like, there's a lot of male gaze in the 2010 Date Night that just I don't think would fly in the same way today, but otherwise holds up pretty well. Huh?
Mock and Mock?
Yeah. There's
and Gal Gadot.
Yep. Gal Gadot. And
I don't remember that at all. Wow.
Kristen Wiig and Mark Ruffalo are a married couple.
Yeah.
Date Night's still pretty entertaining though. So we did watch both of those.
Wait, can I just real quickly say the car chase sequence when they're locked with the cab driver is still one of the funniest moments I've seen in a movie.
So true. That is a really good moment, and it holds up. Game Night, I looked up because I wanted to know more about the lens that they use to create the shots of the city and stuff. It's a particular type of lens. It's a very expensive lens that makes it look like a game board. And as I was looking at it this time, I was like, someone needs to do this for a kaiju movie because they're just shooting the city, but they make it look like the models.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, that's awesome.
And that would be great.
I didn't know it was real.
Do a lot of it. Yes. So I had to know this time for sure. And I'm like, every single one of those shots is a shot of the actual, like a big pulled out shot that they're getting up in the air with a particular lens that makes those things look like models. It's called a tilt shift lens. That's awesome. Insane. Megan and I picked Rick and Morty season 5 back up. We watched a few episodes because it finally came to Hulu, so we started watching it.
And HBO Max.
It's still Rick and Morty, still really good.
Funny, real quick, how like the cultural like talk about that show is kind of just gone now, isn't it? No one ever talks about Rick and Morty ever.
The interesting thing that I've noticed about Rick and Morty is that I think they made a huge mistake. Obviously they got like a 70 episode order that they're dropping in chunks, and like the whole thing of like that airs on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim or wherever it airs, and then months later it drops on streaming is ridiculous. It should be on streaming right after, and that would help it keep in the zeitgeist.
I think so too. But I will say, like, just these few episodes deeper into season 5 there's something about this season, and maybe it's something that will get addressed before the season's over. I don't know. But this season, the narcissism of the show is now the narcissism of the family. So all of the family feels like narcissists now. And we're reaching I think a crescendo point where I'm like, someone here has to care about something.
I have not watched it. I've heard the season is kind of more it is more story driven, where it is kind of more interconnected.
I think it's going to be a point that we're hitting because it's basically everybody kind of becoming a little bit narcissistic after they found out about the second Beth that Rick had created. And there's kind of like, I think Jerry is the only person who maybe isn't as full of narcissism, but he is less caring about the bullshit that happens now. He's just kind of like going with the flow, which is also kind of Jerry's own brand of being a narcissist now.
Free carry Jerry.
So I'm hoping there's kind of a point to that because it's definitely like somebody has to still give a shit. Like, it can't be Rick, but everybody can't be like Rick now.
Yeah.
And kind of the whole family is starting to become like Rick.
That's maybe like the whole.
I think it is. I suspect that Dan Harmon's smart. I don't think that it's an accident.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a vibe that I'm like, all right, we can't live here though for the rest of this, series.
I gotcha.
After Party season 1 ended. Really enjoyed it. Excellent ending. Megan and I pegged the killer correctly. And that just shows the signs of a good show. I did not catch every freaking clue, though. They went through it really well.
I always love that.
Really enjoyed it. Really great. Recommend it. Great Apple TV show. Megan and I also started watching Lock and Key season 1 because we don't remember shit. And some of the things we remember are actually things from Haunting on Hill House. So we're going back. And honestly, we're really glad we decided to do this and not a summary video because we discussed it. And I'm like, I am re-falling in love with these characters. And I'm really grateful for it. Like, I'm starting to remember a lot of the details as we're going, but I don't think if I jumped in season 2, I would have cared about the characters as much. So I'm really glad I'm going back to season 1 and being like, oh, right, all of these things that were happening to these people. Good show. So we're picking that up so we can go to season 2.
I too don't remember a thing about that show.
Yeah. If you want to revisit season 1, still really good. It has completely reminded me why I was so into that show. It's a shame that season 2 couldn't capitalize faster.
Yeah.
Because pandemic. And the last thing I'll talk about is I watched Mobile Suit Gundam. Now, recently, I talked to Ben about how they're making a new movie that's based on an episode from that series. That episode is called Kukuru's Doan's Island. That episode didn't air in America. That episode is not internationally released. The reason is because the animators hate that episode because they were so under budget for so many episodes. This one looks bad. Like, some of the parts in other parts of Mobile Suit Gundam don't look good and they're reusing things. There's a lot of characters that are off model in this episode, a lot of things like that. So they're turning that episode into a 90-minute film to kind of like reclaim the legacy of this episode. I watched a Japanese version that looked like it was a VHS quality looking thing with subtitles, but I watched through it and yeah, it's a little woof to look at visually. But that's the episode, and it's technically episode 15. And so, like, if I've been watching the episodes on Funimation, that episode's just not there because they don't want people to watch that episode. So that's what that movie is. That's that movie that's coming out later this year, is an adaptation of that episode into a full 90-minute, like, beautifully animated special revisiting the history of this moment in Mobile Suit Gundam.
This is like the end of Evangelion.
Like a redemptive moment for them to kind of be like, we're going to go back and we're going to make it look great. Neat. So that's what that was. That's my week.
Cheers.
Nice.
All right, I'll take the baton this time. And I'm also not going to talk about Elden Ring, but I'm going to talk about how I got it, because that, my friends, is a tale. So this week, I made the decision to sell my PlayStation 4 and my PS1. Now that I have the PS5 and I also have a PS3 that can play PS1 and PS4 games, I essentially don't need it anymore. And also I haven't plugged in my PS1 in well over 5 years. So it was time to say goodbye to my trusted friends.
Wait, did you say that your PS3 can play your PS4 games?
No, my
PS1.
PS3 can play my PS1 games.
Okay, okay. I misheard something along the way of your sentence. I apologize.
No, it's all good. No worries, bud. So I decided, instead of taking it to GameStop where I'm going to get lowballed to high heaven, I'm thinking I'll take it to Frankenstein's instead. I know a lot of the gamer booths there. I can probably get a free.
Don't you want to take it to GameStop and get $4.95?
Power to the players.
I needed a decent chunk of money, because not only was I going to get Elden Ring, but I was also going to get a new headset that was maximized and built for my PlayStation 5.
Did you get the HD sound baloney?
I got the Pulse one, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I got the PlayStation 1.
It's got the PS5 shit in it with the rumble in the headset.
I got the Pulse 3D PS5 headset. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, so I got rid of I underestimated the power of weebs that Saturday morning. And also the night before, my cat decided to keep me up, and I only got about 2 hours of sleep. So I go get coffee, I get gas for my car, and I get to Frankenstein's around 9:45 in the morning. The show opens at 9, and normally on a regular day, there's still a pretty decent amount of parking spaces, right? Well, today was the day that they decided to have something called Anime Days. You guys remember when we went to Frankenstein's and they had this little spooky thing, the spooky event? It's like that, but with anime. It took me 45 minutes to find a parking spot. And I only was able to get lucky with my parking spot because I followed a dude who had who parked his car in the very last row before like the hour only area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Did you say 45 minutes to find a parking spot?
45 minutes to find a parking.
Why didn't you go home?
No, the last time, because we commit. Last time we went, Ben, like it took us almost like half an hour. I remember
it's
too.
true.
No, like it is insanely busy, and like, well, can I go home?
It was insanely busy when they have those events. So, because I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, there should still be parking. That's not that bad. It's Saturday, and I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I'm already exhausted, and I get inside Frankenstein's, and it takes me about 2 hours to finally get a decent deal on my PS4 because fortunately it's a 500 gigabyte first gen PS4. It wasn't a PS4 Pro or anything. And even with my controllers, my headset, and all the other stuff I was trying to get rid of with it, I did get the money. Not as much as I hoped, but it was enough for me to get Elden Ring and the headset and also put a little bit in my savings account.
Beautiful.
So that took a while. I get home. My roommate is getting ready because he has a boba event to go to that evening. And I had to run a quick errand for him because he wasn't able to do it. And then I go take a nap because I desperately needed one.
Boba Fett.
Can I ask a quick question about
Yes.
your PS4? Did you have the PT demo downloaded on it?
I did not.
No.
Bummer. I bet that would have
If I
gone
had
for a
the-
little extra.
Oh, if I had the PT demo on it, I would be like, yo, PT's on here. Then I probably would have sold it for $500. Who knows? Yeah, so essentially, I first turned on Elden Ring. I was finally able to sit down and play because after my roommate's event that Fan and I went to in Irvine, we immediately went to go see the Batman.
And that's it's only like a 90-minute movie too.
That's what I've heard.
Not
Yeah.
two, although-
Totally. So I get home, we get a little something to eat, and the only other media I watched was we watched South Park. Fan and I are watching the 25th season of South Park on HBO Max. We love it. It's South Park. It's hilarious. And around 3 o'clock in the morning, I finally turned on Elden Ring, only to go to sleep about an hour or so later for my mom to come over, and I only got like 5 hours of sleep again. I did not sleep a lot this weekend.
That's why they have coffee. It's fine.
Yeah, she brought over coffee. Thank goodness. It was pretty strong coffee. So yeah, media-wise, it was pretty much just South Park and trying to. There's something. Something else. Sabaton, mine and Brandon's one of our favorite bands ever. They released the full new album, "The War to End All Wars." Guys, that album rocks. It slaps.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it dropped until I was getting dinner today, and I was going to Spotify, and I was like, "Oh, what a new Sabaton album? Hell yeah!" And I played that shit. Rolls.
So back in December, I pre-ordered the album on iTunes because that's the only way I was able to get the Christmas Truce on my phone.
Oh,
And
or you could have gotten on Spotify for free.
Or that.
No extra charge.
Or that. But what was I gonna say? Yes, because they also would slowly release tracks like Soldier of Heaven, The Unkillable Soldier, which is also a really good song. But I think outside of Christmas Truce, my favorite song on that album is The Lady of the Dark.
I haven't gotten to that one yet. I've only listened to the first like 4 or 5 tracks so far, but I love it. It's great.
I think out of the ones you listen to, Brandon, Unkillable Soldier is great. That's such a good song.
Sparks.
In a similar vein to Ben bringing up music, Megan and I also learned today that this is a true statement. Elton John, Yo-Yo Ma, and Miley Cyrus did a cover of Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a true. That is 100% factual statement. They played it on KLOS one day, and I was like, "What?"
That is wild.
Music, man.
Music.
All right.
Yeah.
Johnny
Speaking of
Cash
music and Elden Ring.
So true.
God,
Anything
like
else,
the
Ben?
next 3 pause menus are going to be about Elden Ring, I swear.
Anything else, Ben?
Nope, that's about it.
Well, unlike the two of you, I will start mine talking about Elden Ring. No, I'm kidding.
I wish.
That would be like a table flip moment.
God.
If you did, Brandon, if you were to bring out your copy of Elden Ring, I would say cancel. I would be like, sorry, people, podcast canceled. We're all for playing Elden Ring right this second.
You think, Ben, you think I'm joking? If he pulled out Elden Ring, I would turn my computer off right now.
No,
This is a surprise I've never heard.
I would turn this off immediately. I would say, hey, Batman, X out of 10, turn this off and go downstairs and turn it off. And turn my PS5 on.
Sparks, you've been trying to say something. What were you trying to say?
I would love if you just came on here and you were like, I didn't write anything this week. All 100 of my hours in the week were spent playing Elden Ring.
Let me tell you about the Elden Lord.
Let me tell you about the Elden Lord.
Godric the Grafted.
No, I did not. I did not do that. I did watch a couple of.
You nearly adopted the ring.
I did watch a few. I listened to Sabaton, like Ben said. Great album, love it. Can't wait to listen to the rest. I watched the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Peacemaker rules. And I was like, I wonder if Peacemaker has recontextualized anything in Suicide Squad. It hasn't, but that does not mean it's lesser. That movie still rules.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, Fanny finished watching Peacemaker and she absolutely loved it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love the Suicide Squad. I forgot how much I liked that movie because, like, you know, so much of it has been dominated by Peacemaker, the discussion around Peacemaker, and so like I forgot, like, oh right, Ratcatcher rules, Bloodsport rules, King Shark rules. Like this movie rules. I watch. Let's see what I want to do. I want to do this. I watched the entirety of The Sex Lives of College Girls, which is Mindy Kaling's new show on HBO Max. Really good. Very funny. I did not expect it to be quite as funny. I was kind of only half watching it with Zara while I was working one day, and I found myself kind of enraptured in it. It's a very well written show. It's got some really good. I don't know if I can't really say it's like good, like what's the term, representation. But it looks really solid. It's got a lot of great characters. Timothée Chalamet's sister is in it. I didn't know he had a sister. But she's in it. It's great. I really like it. It's very funny. It's only 10 episodes. I recommend. Each episode is like 30 minutes.
Great.
I watched Death on the Nile. I've been talking about this movie all week.
Should have been playing Elden Ring.
The benefit of having AMC
Poirot in Elden Ring and played Elden Ring as Poirot.
I'm just saying, there's a helmet with a mustache.
The benefit of having AMC A-list is that I can see a bunch of movies at no extra cost. And I was excited for Death on the Nile. I really liked Murder on the Orient Express. I like Murder on the Orient Express a lot more now. And like I was excited. So I was like, yeah, we should finally go see Death on the Nile. What a shit movie.
Megan and I also almost went and saw that this week, and then we didn't. And then Brandon was like, well, I got bummed. And I'm like, well, all right, we're not going.
Not only did I see Brandon's post about it, also I listened to our friends Downright Nerdy. I listened to Michael and Riley's review, like little mini review of it. Same. And I'm like, oh no.
You know, like,
really? I haven't heard what they said. I knew that he liked Murder on the Orient Express, and so I walking out of the movie, I was really bummed. Like I did not feel this way about Murder on the Orient Express. Murder on the Orient Express ends on an interesting note in the sense that, like, look, it's a story that kind of rocks Poirot's world. He's like, oh, all these people murdered someone in love and blah blah blah. It's like more of like a character study of Poirot because Kenneth Branagh is directing it and he's Poirot and he wants to do that and it's fine. But like the end of it has him like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna retire. And then it's like, hey, there's been a death on the Nile, and he's like, well, I guess I'm back in the thing. And then Death on the Nile opens with like, thanks for solving that thing in Egypt. Welcome back to London. What was the fucking tease for? And then he goes back to Egypt to solve a different case, but it doesn't matter.
A different Death on the Nile.
There's another. The movie opens, and I shit you not. Zara turned to me and said, "Are we in the right movie?" Because it opens during World War I, and it opens. And I'm sorry for those of you who have heard the story before, and I don't care if the listeners think this is a spoiler. And Ben, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna take this. The movie opens with World War I, and it's going through the trenches of this trench. It's black and white, and it's moody as hell. And like a crow shows up and scares the audience, like the 5 people in the theater with me. And we get on this captain dude. He's got Poirot's mustache. I'm like, that must be young Poirot. We're seeing Poirot's origin as this captain of world in the British Army, French Army. Who the hell cares? What's Poirot? He's Belgian. And he is like, we got orders to storm these people when the winds turn. And then a de-aged, glossy black and white Kenneth Branagh walks into the screen and goes, So you see those sparrows right there. They're gonna. That's a horrible accent. They're doing the thing, and now they're going to do the thing. So we should go now. We'll take them by surprise. And so like they're like, great, Poirot, and they do. They take him by surprise, and the captain's like, great, Poirot, you're wonderful. Mind you, he's got Poirot's mustache. I want to reiterate that because that's important. And he's like, well done, Poirot, you did it. And then Poirot's like, wait, Captain, no. And then the captain turns around and he explodes and he's dead. And then Poirot is scarred. And so his love, Catherine, from the first movie, he's got the picture in the first movie. He's like, oh, my beloved Catalina. And so like she shows up at bedside and he's like, would you still love me if I looked like this? And he's like mangled. He's got this horrible scar and it looks really gnarly and gross. He's like, would you still love me if I put my face like this? And she goes, well, I guess you'll just have to grow a mustache. It's a mustache origin story. It's a mustache origin story.
Also, like, it's not always the case, but generally, if you get
a scar, you can't grow
facial hair from scar tissue. So, like,
that's a glorious mustache.
It's a fake mustache the entire time, and that's even funnier.
And the thing is, he shaves it at the end of the movie because he's like, I don't want to be recognized anymore. Because the whole thing is that everyone recognizes him as Poirot, and he's like, I don't want to be recognized anymore. And he's still got the scar, and I'm like, you just look like Kenneth Branagh. It's just it was so baffling to me, and it's so dark, and it's not meant to be funny. But I gotta tell you, it's hilarious. So unintentionally hilarious. And then the rest of the movie is dour as hell.
Yeah, and is there enough champagne to fill the Nile?
No, there's not even enough death to fill the Nile.
Oh.
There's 45 minutes and Gal Gadot doesn't die. Like 45 minutes of that movie, I'm waiting for Gal Gadot to die and she doesn't die.
Wait, is she not the victim?
Well, she is the victim, but she dies so late into the movie, I stopped giving a shit.
Wow, that's like almost halfway through a movie.
Yes.
I mean, hell,
it was like what through the Batman.
Yeah.
It was like what, the 25-minute? It was the 25-minute mark when Johnny Depp died in Murder on the Orient Express, right?
Not even. He dies early. That's the thing about Murder on the Orient Express. That's the thing about murder mysteries. Either you kill them in the first act or you kill them before the first act.
Yeah.
That's murder mystery. That's how you structure a murder mystery. Death on the Nile as the book is not structured that way. Nor are a lot of Agatha Christie's books. She finds these very strange ways to put Poirot in these stories. When you could just hire a detective after someone dies, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And you could change it for the story, for the movie, but they don't. It takes until midway through the second act for anybody to die. And that's kind of when it gets interesting. And there's some interesting stuff in there. Not worth it. I said interesting. Not worth it. I'm mad at this movie. And so like
I'm out.
and so like there's one death. So okay, credit where credit is due. I still think Poirot is good. I like Kenneth Branagh's Poirot, and he does kind of make it worth it. He's quirky and fun and whatever. But Kenneth Branagh's not having as much fun as he did in the last one. But there is a death in the movie that works spectacularly well. And I was very surprised at it. I did not expect it. And the emotional reaction that it brings within Poirot works. And that's the nicest thing I can say about the movie. That's the only positive I can say about that movie other than the credits. And the thing is, it's not even that bad. I'm just mad at it. I'm mad at it because I feel like the cast is not as interesting as the last cast, regardless of the controversies that are surrounding half of them. Like, they don't mesh together as well as the last cast, and that cast actively knows each other. Like, the characters are like related, like they're family, but the chemistry isn't there. They're not meshing as well. The last one, A Murder on the Express, they were all great. They were all like meshing together well, and they were all working together off each other well. Really great. Everything that worked in Murder on the Express is not in Death on the Nile, and it's really a bummer.
I'm just gonna wait for Knives Out too.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a long prelude to say that I watched The After Party. I needed to watch a good murder mystery, and Sparks has been hyping up The After Party, and I was very interested anyway because of the trailers. So I finally turned on my Apple TV Plus, which I've been paying for a year and never watching anything, and I watched The After Party, and it's great. Everything that Sparks has said is true.
You watched all of it?
I watched only 4 episodes, so I'm halfway through. I'm
still hoping that somewhere through that story, Brand got so mad and pulled out a copy of Elden Ring.
And then I did. No, I'm kidding.
I got so mad at Death on the Nile. I got drunk. I went to GameStop. I bought Elden Ring.
Power to the players.
I watched the first 4 episodes of The After Party, and it is very good. The second episode is a Fast and the Furious parody, which was awesome. Everything is wonderful in that show. Like all the parodies that they're doing for the films, great. The actors are working together very well. It's an engaging mystery. I think I know who did it, but I'm not going to say because, like, what if I'm wrong? And then I can say I was right if I was wrong anyway. And then yeah, I like it a lot, and I'm sad I didn't get through the rest of it. But I only got 4 episodes left, so
Next week.
yeah. And finally, yeah, right? Yeah, finally. Okay. Finally, Star Trek Picard dropped its 2nd season. Not the whole thing. The first episode of season 2 of Star Trek Picard dropped. I did not get to talk about it with my Star Trek Fake Nerds Watch Patriots. So unfortunately, you guys have to sit through a little bit of it if you don't mind. It's the first episode is better than the first season in almost every way. It's much more uplifting. It's much more positive. They ignore all the stupid shit they did last season, like giving Picard a fake body. And the way they hand wave the fact that everyone is 8 years. Wait, Sparks, was that confusing for you?
Don't worry about it. You don't have to explain it.
It's a golem. Anyway, so they hand wave away a lot of the older actors because obviously Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg character, she's back. She was in the trailers, and Q, they're back, and both of them are older. And because the actors are older. So the way they talk about Guinan is that even though her species are practically immortal, they can choose to age. Great. Don't need any more than that. Awesome. I'm glad you did that. And Q, we see actually a de-aged John Delancey for like a second. And then he's like, oh, you're a lot older than I thought, Picard. Let me catch up. And he snaps himself and he's older. And I was like, great. Letting actors be like this old, letting them play these age, great. It's much more uplifting. It's much more positive. There's an interesting mystery at the center of it. There's some good action. There's a lot of Starfleet stuff, which was really great because the last season had a lot of copy and paste ships. That was very frustrating. But now we have a lot of different ships and good new uniforms. Even the theme tune is like uplifting and really kind of fun. And I was really into it. I'm really into it. I hope the momentum continues because I like being this positive about a Star Trek show. And it only being 10 episodes with a good cast, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful, and I like being in that place for a Star Trek show.
That's good. I'm glad.
I'm done.
Great.
Also, I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Ghost Zone. I'm going Ghost. Danny Phantom.
Daniel
Shall we go on
Phantasm.
to our bread and butter?
Let's do it.
Breaking news. The fake nerds like Elden Ring.
That's all I'm thinking about, Ben.
I'm sorry. I'll stop with the Elden Ring jokes.
Ryan will keep thinking about Elden Ring till we hit the review. Then he'll be like, I will actually think about the Batman because I've been thinking about how I want to see it a second time.
I will shift my brain.
And then he'll get to the book club and he'll be like, I really like comics and this was my book club, so I'm here. And then he'll immediately go back to Elden Ring.
I'm just like, it's Severance. I'm doing the Severance thing where I'm transitioning like my work mode. Like, I can't think about Elden Ring. I got to think about the Batman. I met a Wolfman finally. The dude I've been like waiting to meet, and I finally met him. His name is Blade, but it's spelled Blaiide. And I'm like, come on, what? What's the bread and butter, Brandon?
Oh man. Oh, I forgot to mention about Guinan. So Guinan works at Guinan is a bartender in Star Trek in Next Generation, and she has opened a bar in Los Angeles in 2401 or whenever the show takes place, and the bar in the Enterprise is called 10 Forward because it's on the 10th deck and it's in the forward hull. And in the Picard, she opened a bar in Forward Avenue at number 10.
Ah,
That's cute.
Beautiful.
that's cool.
That's
I like
beautiful.
that.
Anyway, they opened it and we're going next week. We got tickets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I think I saw like whoopee coffee.
Whooping cough?
Whoopi Goldberg coffee. Whoopee coffee.
No, it's supposed to be like fake Sorry and brandy and shit like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do they actually serve alcohol there?
Yes, it's a bar.
Don't mind me just totally not texting Zara to get you drunk so you could go buy Elden Ring.
I don't have the money for that.
I'm ready for this challenge. I hear something
hard. Some sad news up top.
Mhm.
John Stahl passed away this week. He's a stage and theater actor, as well as probably the nerd community will know him most as Richard Karstark from Game of Thrones. He passed away at the age of 69.
Specifically took over for seasons 2 and 3. He was not the actor for the character in season 1.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I know him from. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a shame.
Yeah.
69 is not that old either. That sucks.
It isn't, but if I have to say, it is a nice age.
Yeah.
not- I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll allow it.
Thank you.
And then finally, Alan Ladd Jr. Now, this is not a name that you probably recognize offhand, but he is a longtime film producer. He was the president of Fox Studios for a long time. He is responsible primarily for greenlighting projects such as Star Wars, Alien, Blade Runner, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Young Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away at the age of 84 this week.
He definitely is not like a name like, like an actor or director, but if you know like film, you've seen his name a lot in credits. Specifically like the 80s and shit. Like he made a lot of the greatest movies ever made, or helped produce a lot of the greatest movies ever made. Like, I mean, behind the scenes guy who's just like, I just want to make cool movies. Like, that's awesome.
If you think about it, because this is Brandon, did I hear you correctly earlier saying that this is the man who greenlit those films?
Yeah.
So
he was the producer. He was the producer on a lot of them. Working with Fox Studios, he greenlit a lot of them. Yeah.
So without him, we wouldn't get Star Wars, Alien, or some of these amazing franchises that are still in very
possible.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that the person who said yes, I want to take this shot on this guy from USC with his Star Wars film, and it became the biggest franchise known to man.
Well, that is the role of a producer, though. They're not an actor or director. They are the behind the scenes person. And
there's a lot of
famous producers are known, but like not really. They don't want to be famous.
There's a lot of people, like if Kathleen Kennedy wasn't the president of Lucasfilm, we wouldn't know her name, most likely. But like what he did was take these stories, and like the guy who greenlit Back to the Future, like this is a person who doesn't have a lot, who doesn't have anything to their name. I like this, and I have faith in this person, and it paid off. And he did that a lot, and he did that with scripts that completely bombed. Like Blade Runner was a bomb when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
Like the fact that he still took a chance on these things, that says a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of genre stuff. And again, like genre stuff is like some of the riskiest stuff to make, because it's a lot of times expensive.
Especially in the 80s.
Especially in the 80s. Yeah, Blade Runner is like a production nightmare. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Speaking of production nightmares, Kraven the Hunter is rounding out its cast. Ariana DeBose, or DeBose? DeBose. She recently is nominated for the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for West Side Story.
Nice.
She has been cast as Calypso.
So Calypso is a pretty small-scale Spider-Man villain who does have ties to Kraven. So I'm like, all right, they are definitely building out that Spider-Man universe. Definitely Calypso is not the first character you'd pick for a Spider-Man movie, but for a Kraven solo movie, you don't have a lot of options.
Who we got? Who can we use?
She's a great actress. Like obviously she's like nominated for a movie, but like I'm interested in Kraven. Just that, like, I like the character. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
I'm honestly surprised this movie is moving forward as it is. At this rate, it'll be the next one that films.
No, it is filming.
It's not filming.
It's not filming?
No, they're still rounding out the cast, and it will film this year, but it hasn't started filming yet.
That movie's happening anyway.
Alessandro Nivola has been cast as the villain in the villain movie Kraven the Hunter. So you need a worse bad guy to make your bad guy seem like a good guy.
Oh, I guess she'll be like the bad guy that maybe a romance thing, and she teams up with him or whatever. I guess, sure.
Maybe.
All right.
Alien news. Get off into something more exciting. I think. We know that.
Alien.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. I Am Legend.
Can't assume.
As we know, Noah Hawley's show is happening on Hulu, but now we know that Fede Alvarez, the director of the Evil Dead remake, Don't Breathe, is directing a new Alien film exclusively for Hulu, produced by Ridley Scott. I'm excited.
Isn't it also specifically not connected to the previous films?
So supposedly it's unconnected. This has not been confirmed. This is just kind of what insiders are talking about, what they're hearing. It is supposedly unconnected to the previous films. And then the last bit of news I'll just get through this. 20th Century Studios has the mandate to release and produce 10 films for Hulu this year, and this is part of that.
Cool.
That's great. Like Fede Alvarez is a good new like
Horror
genre director.
Yeah.
And putting it on Hulu means that it probably will be a small scale, just like a good Alien movie,
Like the Predator movie.
like the Predator movie we're getting soon. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's fantastic. This is like only good sign. Like
It's a good outcome of the Disney buying deal.
Yeah.
I think my only trepidation is in. I don't really know what I want out of an Alien movie right now, but I do like Fede Alvarez, and I'm excited about the Noah Hawley series. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I'm far more interested in the Predator mythos right now, so I'm super stoked for Prey.
Yeah.
I just
But-
see a lot more avenues of what I want explored out of Predator than I do out of Alien right now. Because to be honest, gun to my head, what do I want explored out of Alien right now? I still kind of do want to follow David. So, I don't really want Ridley Scott driving the wheels, but I do kind of want the next step in that David story.
and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is because you need Ridley, and I don't want Ridley.
Right, yeah.
So I'm like,
No, I acknowledge
yeah.
it. I acknowledge it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like in the films, that's kind of the path I see right now. So you
No,
gotta
yeah.
you gotta open. It makes sense if it's unconnected because you kind of have to open a brand new door at this point. If you're not getting Blomkamp's Superman
Yeah,
Return
true.
style sequel.
I think this will be very much like almost exactly like Prey, just a self-contained.
Mhm.
A xenomorph is dealing with people somewhere, and I'm like, okay, cool.
And I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Fede Alvarez is an exciting director. I like him quite a bit. I love Evil Dead, his
Yeah.
remake of Evil Dead.
So funny.
And so, like, I think that he can bring a lot of really cool horror stuff to Alien. Don't Breathe.
Ooh,
It's good.
Just tell me the story of Monica.
from Fire Team
Alien
Elite.
Fire Team Elite.
That's in a book. You gotta read the book.
Make it super canon.
And I think this is also a good sign. The fact that like Prey was a holdover from Disney's buyout of Fox, so like that was in the works. They couldn't stop that. It is nice that this is a Disney produced, 20th Century Fox produced, 20th Century produced Alien film. Like Disney was like, yeah, make an Alien film. Like put it on Hulu, do that.
Wasn't worried.
Yeah.
They were always going to do that.
It's a good, but whether or not you're worried, it's a good outcome.
Yeah,
is what I'm
for
saying.
sure.
Absolutely.
All right, I Am Legend. Apparently, they're making a sequel. I Am Legend is getting a sequel with Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith attached to star.
If Will Smith wasn't in this, I'd be more excited because I've seen that movie and his character's dead. His character, I think
Or
he
at least
dies,
should
right?
be.
Well, unless the you guys
There's the two
I think-
endings.
Yeah, there's like another ending that came out for the DVD where it's like there's an alternate ending, and it's like
It's better ending. It's a better ending. It's a better ending.
I'm sorry. The original ending, he finds the camp or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He survived. Okay.
No,
No,
the girl and the kid find the camp.
okay.
So
The
the ending in theaters, the ending that premiered in theaters was the one where he gets the grenade and he slams against the window and he explodes with the vampire
Yes.
people.
Yes.
That's the original ending. The alternate ending is he gives the guy that he took away because he learned that he is in fact the monster to these creatures, and he goes off. And if that's the ending, fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, that's the thing because like the original book's all about like he is the monster,
Yes.
he is the legend.
Yes.
And like the original, and then like the original ending like destroys that. God,
Yes.
that alternate ending is so good.
That book is good.
So I do wonder if they're bouncing off the alternate ending.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird, but like crazier things have happened, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
I ultimately agree with Ryan. You know what? Honestly, I'm not even interested.
I'm-
Honestly, like even if Will Smith wasn't attached, I like Michael B. Jordan.
I do too,
I
yeah.
don't need I Am Legend revisited.
I would almost rather
some amount of
them.
years later.
Yeah.
Because
I would rather them just remake the actual book like how it's supposed to be.
agreed.
Because they
Yeah.
did that with Charlton Heston, I Am Omega, like in the 70s or whatever.
And
like,
even then, like it's very loose and not getting at
Yeah.
the heart of what it is. But like having read that in this past year, like there's a story you could tell that is very contemporary and influential right now, and pretty much is a perfect adaptation of
make
that. Where
that
it
into
truly
like a
is
show, man.
where it really is like his solo operation of how he's seeing the world and what he's doing, and ultimately learning that he's now the bad guy and he's outdated.
I Am Legend should
and
be
what
like an
and what
HBO
human
show.
beings are going, like what human life on the planet is going to be going forward. And I just don't know who this is for, or
Damn it, Frank!
this isn't me saying like, oh, it'll be bad. This is me saying at this moment, I have zero interest.
Yeah. I just like Michael B. Jordan, but even then, like honestly, yeah, I don't think I'm interested.
At this point, I Am Legend is probably best remembered for the fake Batman Superman poster in it.
Can't believe that. Yeah, came true.
Yeah.
I think I Am Legend has a really.
That's
It's
good stuff,
not
man.
a good adaptation of that story necessarily, but I do think it is a good performance by Will Smith, carrying almost an entirely solo performance, and I do think he really sells that.
And he does a part where he talks about Shrek, and it's awesome.
To this day, one of the most emotional death of a pet scenes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think about it
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
Oh,
Truthfully, I liked I Am Legend. I liked the ending when I first saw it, but then like I changed my mind after a while, rightfully.
once
But
I knew that there was a better ending,
yes,
that's when I was like, you shouldn't have shown us this.
Right.
I like real quickly, Sparks. Let me finish what I was saying. Like I like that movie.
I'm going to go ahead.
I like that movie. On paper, I'm not totally against revisiting the world of I Am Legend. I would just prefer a more faithful adaptation at this point, because it has been. We are now so far removed that we could just remake that book again.
Yeah, it is so far away. Again, like if you're gonna make a sequel, like obviously Michael B. Jordan wasn't
Why
famous 15 years ago, but like
why can't I Am Legend be like the genre? The name's not in my head, but the
Invasion of the
Star
Body
is Born.
Snatchers.
Star is
Oh,
Born,
Star
where you
is
get a
Born.
different interpretation like every 20 years, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what's basically happened by I Am Legend. There are 3 adaptations so far. Why not just have another?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we? I don't see the point in doing a sequel to
Again,
this story. I don't think
yeah.
it left that room for me to be interested in it, and I think that ultimately a different interpretation, especially a more modern interpretation, so that the world is at the point that it is, but adapting the elements of that story as it was written to fit the modern day, is a more interesting setup than what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Make it a show, make it an HBO show. Bing bong.
Oh, I don't know if that's always the right choice.
No, but I'm saying like that is. I would rather.
Yeah, no, I would too. I
Yeah.
would too.
Slowly learn he's a monster. That's awesome.
This is not a surprise to any of us, I'm sure, but Bender, John DiMaggio, has officially signed a deal to return as Bender in Futurama.
I'm back, baby.
It was not. It was very clear it was not going to go forward without him at some point.
No, there's no way.
I just can't imagine that show without him.
Yeah.
Like,
Nobody could.
yeah.
Voice actors weren't going to take the role.
Yeah.
As like it was a sinking ship unless you got him on board. So they had to pony up the money.
Get that money.
I
just
hope that it. Go ahead.
I hope that the rest of the cast got
Extra money too.
decently compensated as they are deserved, because that was one of the things John DiMaggio was saying. Is he's like, I understand that they took the deal. I think they're worth more, just like I think I'm worth more.
What a sweet man.
Yeah.
What a guy.
He's like, it's not just me. I don't think that just me should get more. I think everybody should get more.
Especially all those actors coming back for Futurama who played multiple roles.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. I hope everyone got paid. All right. The Santa Claus TV series. We've talked about this before.
Real quick, sorry. Real quick, I think we didn't talk about it in the news, but I do think this is cool. This is, I think, a good moment of like, I'm hoping that this is a trend, like the John DiMaggio thing. I hope we're getting to a point where we start like treating our voice actors better, start recognizing them for the work that they do, the people who are true voice actors better, because we had the voice actor for Tales finally get put on the posters.
Oh, that's awesome.
And get their own character
Yeah.
poster where they're actually now included on the poster, even though they're not like a household name. They deserve to be up there just like everybody else.
Is this the first time that that's ever happened?
Pretty much, yeah. Out of the backlash,
Like
where
a
someone who
voice
is not
actor
a
playing their
household,
character?
who is someone who is not a household name,
Yeah.
getting to come back and reprise their character from like a different thing, and then getting it like the top billing with everyone else as is deserved.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
man.
that did happen because the fans backlashed hard enough. They re-released the poster with them on it,
Good for her.
That's great.
as it should be. And I'm glad that we're seeing that. And kudos to the Sonic the Hedgehog team for doing it.
Quite honestly, kudos to the Sonic the Hedgehog team. Period. I was talking to a great mate on a page that I'm on. Shout out to anybody of you guys who watch this. And he was like, "Yeah, I mean, if you go watch Uncharted, like it's not going to be the game, but it's a fine adventure film." And so, like, I said, I want what Sonic fans are getting. I want a good, faithful adaptation of a game that I love from people who love it.
Mhm.
The best review I've heard of Uncharted is like, yeah, if you don't go in thinking it's the games, you might have a good time. I don't want that.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
I want a good thing. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I mean,
No,
that's
it's
like
okay.
almost the whole Resident Evil franchise too. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And so like I totally get like Resident Evil is a good example. Like if you don't like the Resident Evil movies because they're not the games, I get it. Anyway.
But after like 4, you're like, I should stop coming in with expectations.
Yes, that's true.
Wait, Resident Evil 7's not like the game? Come on, man.
Resident Evil 3 is the one where you should have shifted. Resident Evil 2, like, it tricks you.
Yeah.
Nemesis tricks you.
When it goes from being like an apocalypse to like a winter wasteland from the next movie, you're like, oh, there's no even whatever. It's so good.
It's like, what do you mean Lady Dimitrescu's in the Resident Evil movie? What the hell?
Oh my god, she shows up randomly for no reason. Yeah, that's great.
They're the kind of producers that would have done that. Anyway, I'm happy for Sonic fans, like dearly so. I'm so happy that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 looks as good as it does.
Oh man, we were
showing the TV spot and that and Lost Say, like the minute long trailers that's been playing online recently. That was in front of the Batman for us, and just seeing the Eggman robot for that split second where you see the Eggman face, I'm like, I cannot wait. It looks so good. It looks so good.
It's cool because they haven't really shown anything. Like they've shown like that big set piece, but I know that's not the big thing, right? So like it's really cool that like, oh, I'm like excited for like a big Sonic blockbuster. Like it's exciting. It's cool, man.
Respect your voice actors.
Respect your voice actors.
Respect your source material.
There you go.
Hashtag respect your voice actors. Hashtag respect the source material. All right. The Santa Claus. Let's shift gears a bit. The TV series sequel to the Santa Claus trilogy on Disney Plus has cast Kal Penn as supposedly the guy who is taking over.
He better be.
I'm for it.
I love Kal Penn. He's great.
Yeah,
he's so cool.
I think he's got the right energy.
Yeah. I'm just, again, like we talked about whenever we last talked about it, it's like, I hope it's not just another white dude. Because like that would be really boring and shitty. I'm like, cool. Like Kal Penn's a cool dude. He's really funny. LGBT, like that's even better. Like sorry Tim Allen, deal with it.
You're right. You can't really get quite more like screw Tim Allen's beliefs than making him pass the torch to this guy.
That's exactly, and that's the thing we were talking about. Like, make it really like modern and cool. Don't just do like the same thing. And I'm like, this is exciting. I really hope he is like the next guy, and he's not like his best friend or like a coworker or something.
Yeah, they did not say for sure, but that's kind of the wording that they were going with. So
you have reason to believe.
Yeah.
Kal Penn is the guy who played Kumar, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
cool.
It was Harold actually.
Shut up.
Actually played both. He does.
You're right.
Because when you guys said
many people think it's John Cho, but no, it's actually Kal Penn.
John Cho doesn't exist.
No, because when you guys said Kal Penn,
it's just Kal Penn. Sorry, Ben.
When you guys said Kal Penn, my brain had to go, was like, wait, who's Kal Penn? And the first thing I thought of, Kumail Nanjiani. I'm like, nope, that's not him. That's definitely not him.
He was on one of the doctor shows.
House.
He was on House.
Yeah, he was on House. And of course, I'm thinking of that scene from Harold and Kumar 3 where Harold shoots Santa in the face.
Also served in the Obama administration for a while.
Did.
Sure. He did. Very smart man.
That was really cool.
Sparks and I gathered a bit about the after party, but it was and even last week, Sparks said exactly what they should do, and they apparently heard him because the after party has been renewed for a second season, with Tiffany Haddish returning as her character from the first season with a new supporting cast.
Yes, I suspect that the finale gave me reason to believe that she has her second in command. I forget the actor's name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. He'll definitely be coming back. And then at least 2 of our suspects, I do believe, have been left the door open to return for a second season with reason.
Yeah.
But I won't say more than that. But it would be great. I hope those are, because I would love those 2 characters to return. But this is awesome. The Tiffany Haddish episode made me very confident this was going to happen, and I'm very open to it and happy for it. Phil Lord and Chris Miller have another winner on their hands. I know you're going to spoil it. Would this be a continuation or would it be a new mystery?
It would be a new mystery.
Okay.
Even with old suspects?
So I definitely don't want to spoil it.
No,
but there is a reason why one character in particular is helpful to her. And they left a little tease of like why she could call upon him again.
Gotcha.
And he comes with another character because they're connected to each other.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I could see where that bridge would happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's doing the age-old murder mystery story. I'm really happy to see it done. There's just the detective bounces from murder mystery to murder mystery to murder mystery with different large supporting casts.
Yes, exactly. I don't think it is exactly that. It will be like the Knives Out and Poirot kind of thing. But because they all live still in the same area, they all live in Los Angeles. So there's still room for. They live in the same area. I could
Meetups.
see where in like the 5th episode of the 2nd season, it's like I could use a second pair of eyes and calls this suspect in.
Gotcha. The Mandalorian.
I don't think they would be like a main character through the entire season, but I could see them making a reprisal appearance.
Gotcha.
Let's see where this takes us. Cuphead was renewed, quote unquote. Which isn't true. For season 2. This was dirty of Netflix to do this. This is not the case. It is, in fact, is part of the first season order. This is just the second of 3 drops of season 1.
This is a way that they don't have to pay their animators as much.
Yes, it is. They did this for Voltron. Voltron initially had a 76 episode season that they spliced into 8. So they've been doing it ever since to animation. They just order a chunk and then drop them and call them new seasons. It sucks.
Yeah, that's shitty.
Yeah,
it's a workaround loophole where they don't have to pay the animators as much because of how they're distributing it, and it's crappy.
Yeah.
It's like you make more at once, so you don't get paid for the long term of it, and then you just release it later on. That's incredibly shitty.
And so they're not having to increase the contracts, and there's no room for negotiation going forward for the animators' part on the rest of the program.
Well,
so if it gets a 4th season, that's when you know the contracts have been revisited.
Right.
Oh my God.
Because they got 3. They ordered enough episodes for 3 quote unquote drops.
Because they're like short
seasons.
seasons.
Like cool that there will be more of the Cuphead show. Kind of shitty that this is still how Netflix is handling things with.
We would have got this anyway. They're just doing it in a shitty way.
Yeah. Like there was no world because especially because the initial announcement was like it's coming this summer, and it was like I knew it was like that's not a season order. There is no way that you ordered a season that's coming out that quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's a bummer.
Arcane is a season order.
Arcane was a season order.
For sure.
This whole thing of because that show took a long time to animate, so there's no way that they had enough lead time to put something out in the summer unless the episodes were already done.
Yeah, the Netflix Arcane season 2 order is check back in 2025.
Right.
Then we'll see where we're if we have an inkling.
The season two of Arcane was such a surprise that they were like, look, we did get a season order. It's not coming for a while, so stay tuned.
Let us write it first, please. It's gotta be good.
Anyway, so yeah, that sucks. I hope Netflix. I hope this because we've seen a lot of people who work on Cuphead who've worked in animation with Netflix have talked about how this is the case, and it's kind of created a groundswell support. Hopefully this kind of leads to Netflix maybe thinking a little better about these kinds of deals.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but unfortunately, as similar to our voice actor discussion, I think these things, unless they get rampant amount of attention, which fortunately the Sonic fan base is very dedicated to Sonic the Hedgehog, and so they took it very seriously when they saw their Tails voice actor being slighted, and that caused a studio response, which is great. That was very easy for them to do. It was great that Tails got their own character poster that's just them and their name, which is great. I think unless that pressure gets put on, things aren't going to change, and even then it's going to take a lot to get it to change across the board.
I agree. All right. Moving on, though. The Defenders TV series have left Netflix. The Netflix original shows, Marvel shows, have left Netflix. And up until now, it was kind of only confirmed that Canada was getting them in March, but they have now confirmed that around the world where Disney Plus is, they're all coming to Disney Plus on March 16th with new parental controls.
Amazing.
Y'all get to see some banging,
some
blood,
some kids are about to experience Daredevil.
A lot of black people saying the N-word.
Oh my God, Luke Cage. Mommy, what are they doing?
I think the parental controls are probably their way of doing what they do in other countries where Star is kind of their Hulu, but it's part of Disney Plus. We're gonna see Deadpool and Logan on Disney Plus soon. This is what this is.
And
do you remember the day when this was announced and Kevin Feige straight up said there's not going to be any R-rated content on Disney Plus?
No, he said there's not going to be any R-rated movies that the MCU will make, which he has not retracted yet.
Technically, Moon Knight's a television show,
so. And technically, the MCU is making Deadpool still.
Oh,
And Bob
you're
Iger's
right.
like, that's R-rated.
Ryan
so-
Reynolds just said, expect Deadpool news sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And that just like, wow, that's really exciting, actually. Wow. I
Could
can't
be
believe it.
Doctor Strange cameo. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really cool. I'm really happy that those shows are not getting like I kind of felt like this deal might have been in place for a little while now, but I do think this was heightened by the fact that these characters have returned. Some of these characters have returned in the MCU and different products, and Disney did not like the idea that another streaming service was getting a bump because of what they were putting out, and so they wanted everything consolidated in one place, as they always do.
In-house, keep it in-house, yeah.
So I'm happy that instead of taking them and then they're just gone, they're not burying them. They're just like, it's so soon. Like this is just a couple weeks. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they're on Disney Plus. 2 weeks
Again,
after they
I
left.
Disney's
I
doing
can't wait to
everything
see
right,
the
man.
numbers that they start doing on Disney Plus now that
Right.
there are people who maybe didn't have Netflix
Oh my
but were
God.
interested because of the MCU, and they're gonna be like, whoa, Daredevil has a show? Click.
Oh my God.
the thing that's so great is
Christian
like,
Ritter and Mike Coulter are going at it.
oh yeah, oh the
Some
Saint Joe,
banging.
the Saint Joe Daddy's Disney Channel. The thing that
It's like,
that
hey,
really
it's that one guy from
on,
Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home.
what is he doing with that Electro lady? The thing that's most exciting for me is like I wasn't worried about Daredevil coming.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for me to think that they wouldn't put all of them on there, right? But there was a part of me of like, are they going to put Punisher on Disney Plus?
Mhm.
Because the Punisher, while all the other shows are violent, the Punisher is the most violent, the most like sad one of all those shows.
For sure.
So the fact that they are putting that on there means like, oh, okay, they're really just doing it. And again, like that makes me so happy. They're just committing to it. Like we made this. The Punisher is a mature character. Here he is. Parental controls. Emma, you suck. It's great. It's just like, again, they could have been. They could have done all the wrong things, and they're just continually doing the right things. And that's great.
I think this does mean reasonably that a potential Daredevil season 4 can push towards still not really going to be as hard as the Netflix shows, but push further into that direction.
Moon Knight level, which is not quite there, but like more,
maybe even more. Like
Yeah.
again, like we don't know because we haven't seen Moon Knight yet, but maybe even further than that. But I still don't think I don't know that they'll ever go as far as the Netflix shows. I don't know that will ever
Yeah.
happen, but I do think they'll be more bold than they were going to be otherwise, just because the presence is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really great that doing this parental controls thing was something that like even Chapek was talking about when he took over, that they don't want this kind of content on Disney Plus. They want it on Hulu. And I think cooler heads prevailed. Seeing with the numbers that Star does on Disney Plus in other countries probably also helped this decision. And the other thing is this kind of sets the precedent of now studios who have like sold their shows not to Netflix to make, mind you, this was Netflix money that made these shows, can now take those shows. For example, and the only one that I keep coming to is, strangely enough, is Gilmore Girls: Year in the Life, which is a Warner Brothers TV series on Netflix. Like that can be taken off of Netflix and be put on HBO Max.
Man, do you think? Man, I'm like picturing like the beginning, like I put on Daredevil, and the first thing I see is not the Netflix logo.
It's Disney Plus.
Yeah, will
Yeah.
Or will they keep the Netflix logo?
And it'll turn to the bloody opening.
Because like Netflix still put more than half the money in for those shows.
Mhm.
So like it's still a Netflix production. It's not just a Marvel Entertainment or ABC production.
It is so funny that in the end, that these Netflix made shows, Netflix got fucked by them. That's so funny because now they put more than half the money in. Now they don't even have those shows anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so juicy.
I mean, I'm sure they got a nice paycheck.
Sure, but I'm like, those shows aren't on there anymore. That's crazy. That's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like that's the thing where I'm like, those will always be on Netflix. Those are Netflix made. Business, baby.
No,
It's
they're
crazy.
not.
Business is crazy.
in 6 months Disney stores start selling the Defenders like logo T-shirts with the characters from the Netflix shows, and you're like,
listen, that
they really got them.
That Defenders,
they really got them.
That Defenders season is totally fine. If you guys want to do like another one with all those characters, I don't think anyone will do that. Not at all.
Well, except now, Danny would be replaced by Connie.
Colleen
Might be a stretch.
Oh, you know what? Now that but real quickly, they have no excuse to do anything that discounts the continuity of these shows.
That's true.
Yeah.
They are canon, baby.
Jessica Chen, come back. Matrix is done.
Also,
do it.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is there.
Also, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is there. Yes,
Oh,
they're Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Netflix has also launched the streaming rights to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's being put on Disney Plus. Although it was on Disney Plus when Disney Plus first launched, and now it's coming back. So.
Beautiful. Hey man, there's some good stuff on that show.
Ben, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry.
Nah, it was just another. It was a supplement Sparks comment where you can see T-shirts with the Defenders and then the Halloween costumes of Daredevil and
All right.
Dan Rand.
It's really cool that Daredevil is getting gonna get like another second resurgence, because like that show is really popular and really beloved. But like there was a time where like, oh man, is it done? Like no, he's back, baby.
I am very convinced right now that Kristen Ritter's in She-Hulk.
Yeah. Oh, hundo. I'm 100% convinced.
After Daredevil's appearance in No Way Home, and then especially with Hawkeye, Kingpin,
and this,
I'm like,
because built-in content, like they go see She-Hulk. Oh shit, Jessica Jones, that's over here.
Yeah, I'm now also convinced that of what that Echo show is. What we were hearing about that Echo show
pre-season 4, yeah.
Yeah, season 3.5.
Yeah.
Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett.
Please, hopefully not. Please, no, God, no.
Book of Echo.
Book of Echo. All right, anyway.
Yeah.
Funimation was in the news this week. Funimation has merged with Crunchyroll.
Oh yeah, this happened.
Not only are they consolidating everything, so Funimation, Wakanim, and Verve are all going to be on Crunchyroll exclusively now. They don't have their own streaming services anymore. It's all Crunchyroll.
Wow.
Not only that, though, supposedly Funimation is no more, and it is now just Crunchyroll. So there's no Funimation name anymore. It is now just Crunchyroll.
I mean, it's been phased out. Funimation technically is still the name. It will be phased out because if you go to like Funimation.com, that still exists. So it's going to take time. But the company itself has now changed to Crunchyroll LLC.
Wow. Yeah. Look at that. An era is over.
Kind of sad. I think Crunchyroll is a worse name than Funimation. So I would have rather seen everything rebrand under Funimation. But also very impressive because Crunchyroll, what a success story for that, because that is piracy from the early days of the internet coming up all the way to this point. Insane.
It was how a bunch of people watched anime. I mean, I'll say it. I would watch episodes of Negima by scouring YouTube and finding episode 5.1.
Get him. We got him. Get him. Everybody.
Get him, Gordon.
We got him.
I would never say it, but yar, then it's right.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah,
it is crazy that like Crunchyroll started there and now they're like a premier streaming service and like the place for anime.
Now like it is. It's just them almost now, right? Like,
pretty much.
International, yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You think it's a good
especially because Crunchyroll, you have like a bunch of simulcasts with Japan that are subtitled and ready to go. Sometimes they do the sub and the dub at the same time they air in Japan. And with this merger, it's actually making me consider subscribing to Crunchyroll because I was getting a lot of my anime through Verve. I saw a bunch of really good shows through there. But now that Verve went to shit a few months ago.
More than a few months ago, let's be honest.
What's up?
More than a few months ago, let's be honest.
Yeah, more than a few months ago. But when Verve died, it was like, well, I had a lot of really fun anime shows on there. And then I look over at Funimation, it's like, yo, a lot of shows I like are over there.
Let me know when Dragon Ball Super starts streaming, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the thing. Like right now, everything that's Funimation, so dub and sub, becomes part of Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So if you got a Funimation account, you go over to Crunchyroll now. You got all that.
You got it.
Yeah. You're there.
I meant the new season of Super. Like when that goes, sure. I'll do a subscription. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's especially at Crunchyroll. Oh, they don't have that deal with HBO Max now, do they?
No, it's
right.
That is Crunchyroll and Funimation and all that now falls under Sony's umbrella. This is one of Sony's biggest branches now. Mm-hmm. They own anime internationally. That's what's happening.
They need it.
Good for them. Now give us that superhero movie. All right.
Soon.
Yeah. So cool. It like Ryan said, it's an end of an era. I wanted to bring it up because like Funimation was like, I knew people who worked at Funimation. Like obviously Dragon Ball is huge for me. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the name. I'm not gonna lie.
And nobody is losing their jobs.
No.
Like that's not what's happening. It's just now Funimation's going to be called Crunchyroll, and that's going to roll out slowly over time. And it's kind of like, well, it's just a dying name, and that's kind of sad because I personally prefer the interface and presence and coloring and name and aesthetic that Funimation came with over Crunchyroll personally.
Gonna miss the Funimation booth at Comic-Con.
I mean, that'll be
Well, you'll
there.
get a
It'll just be.
custom
Well, it'll be there still.
It'll be there, but it's like the Funimation booth, and the Crunchyroll booth just doesn't have the same ring to it. Oh well, I'll get over it.
Kevin Smith was in the news this week. He's launching an entire comic book line with
He's
Dark
killed
Horse.
again. I'm sorry.
He's killed again.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith has killed once again.
Why can't we catch him? He's on the podcast every week. We know where he is.
It's that nobody can get into that super exclusive club he goes to. The Star Wars
bar
thing.
that's open every day.
It's not that exclusive. I was able to get in.
I know that's the joke. Okay. Anyway, what's it called? Three
Scum and
Sons.
Villainy.
Scum and Villainy.
Hard.
So obviously we probably all know at this point that he has a comic book story. He's had one for years called Secret Stash. He is launching Secret Stash Press at Dark Horse Comics. So this is going to be an imprint published through Dark Horse. It's going to launch with his first title called Masquerade. That's going to launch in the fall. It's going to be an 8-issue miniseries about a budding vigilante. That's all the information they gave us at this point, but he's writing all the issues. No artist at this point mentioned. And then after that, he'll follow that up with an ongoing anthology called Quick Stops, which is set in his View Askew-universe, and will include characters from films like Clerks, Mallrats, and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Okay.
That's what he's doing, making
Yeah.
comics.
That's super cool for all of Kevin Smith's super fans.
Yeah.
That's like honestly, like that's cool that he gets like, hey man, I want to make a comic with my entire universe that I spent 25 years making. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm not gonna read it. That's really cool though. I would have read it maybe 15 years ago, but it didn't exist then.
He loves comics, so it's cool that he gets to still create rather than blowing $125 million off on a passion project that nobody's gonna see.
Yeah, exactly.
That he sold as an NFT. I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, well, we all make mistakes.
All right. Anyway, trailers.
It's time to go to the park. Trailer park.
Dragon Ball Superhero.
They say the word superhero a lot in this trailer.
They're superheroes, Ryan. Of course they do.
So now we know for sure there's something else besides Androids 2 and 1.
It's definitely Cell in that thing, right?
So I've seen some pretty convincing theories going around that it's actually going to be canonizing Android 21. If you see Heroes 2 and 1 stand next to each other, 21 on the other side, they say 21.
All right.
When we see that one shot of the Red Ribbon Army dude talking about other heroes, Boo is up there, and 21 has a Majin form, so people are thinking they kind of sell.
I did think of
Android 21.
the Majin Buu egg, but I thought because it's Cell, like it's a Cell egg, but like that also makes sense.
Can you explain a little bit who Android 21 is in the canon?
Android 21 is a video game character that is essentially the next step of the Red Ribbon, an ultimate android, perfect form. She is a lady character. She's very powerful, and she has a Majin form because she has Majin DNA built into her. She's cool, but she is a game-only character up to this point. I did also go like, this is probably Cell, but there's some pretty convincing, like that 2 and 1 thing is exactly the kind of teasy clue thing that Toriyama does.
Makes sense.
It would not shock me if this actually is the way that Toriyama decides to take his own take on this character, Android 21. He did design her visually, but he did nothing else to.
Oh yeah, she's in she's in Fighters. I was like, is she in Universe? No, yeah, she's in Fighters. Yeah, she's a cool lady.
Yeah, they Toriyama seems to be at a point where he wants to canonize all the creations he's done that he didn't get to play with.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think there's a good chance of that. I'm honestly kind of like, I don't know how I feel about Cell coming back, even though I think Cell is amazing. I also don't necessarily want that tarnished. I'm sure Toriyama would do a great job, but do we need to do this after we've already done Frieza?
Yeah, not every character has to come back. Yeah,
right. So the idea that this could be Android 21, I find pretty fascinating.
I think that
we'll see what that ultimately turns into. We also do get a clear shot of Broly in this trailer. For those who we knew he was in this movie, but here it is again. Also, they released some art. We do know we're going to see Chile and Limon.
Yeah, I love them.
Again, both of them will be back.
I love them.
Because their visual art was released.
I love those guys.
Yeah, I'm really glad that everybody's coming back for this.
Yeah.
This also trailer established that the Red Ribbon guys are going to steal Pan. Boy, did they screw up.
They stole wrong, baby.
I am so excited for Gohan to get in at it.
He's wearing his like purple
his Piccolo outfit.
His Piccolo outfit looks so sick.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
There's a lot of stuff in this trailer that I really like. For one, is giving Gohan kind of the spotlight, because I don't think Goku is going to have a big role in this movie.
I have a theory that Red Ribbons, this whole like superhero thing, the reason that they're making this march, I think they are trying to like get the world on their side kind of thing. I think it is a press move, and I think they're trying to out Gohan as Great Saiyaman.
Yeah, they're trying to be. They are trying to be superheroes.
I think they're going to out him. I think they're going to say he's been Great Saiyaman and he hasn't done anything useful for you. He's actually kind of been the problem. I think they're going to try to blame Cell on Gohan. And I think that they're going to say like Great Saiyaman's not really the hero you think he is, that kind of thing.
They're the like Superman and the elite.
I think they're going to use his relation to the Dell, because they're going to say like the whole Cell Hercule thing was actually staged.
Ooh.
Because he's married to Hercule's daughter, and they're going to out him entirely for that and try that might be a little too complicated for Toriyama. I might be big braining a little too hard on that one, but I think there's room for them to go at it this way. I'm just super intrigued by what they're doing, but I will say the one thing that this trailer did cement for me: this animation's a step backwards, and it bums me out.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to bring up a couple of points that this trailer brings up, which is that the Red Ribbon Army is I find interesting that they're making a point to bring back the Red Ribbon Army, because it hasn't been in Dragon Ball for a long time. It's been decimated, and so they're like, we're rebuilding the Red Ribbon Army through this kind of press thing with these superhero androids. I like all that. I really like what I'm seeing as far as like the story. Like I mentioned before, that Goku doesn't look like he's a big part of this, which gives Gohan the chance to shine, especially because it does involve his daughter. We get a hint at like a new form, which is interesting because like all of Super, he was like, I don't want to go Super Saiyan. I want to learn how to get stronger without going Super Saiyan, which was really cool. But in here, maybe Rage won out, or he found a new form. Outside of Super Saiyan, interesting.
I mean, they took his baby girl.
Yeah, I love like the whole thing with Gohan and him becoming like Mystic Saiyan. Like I love that Gohan has like his own different route. So I do hope he gets some type of other form. I wouldn't mind that. It's because again, like he hasn't had a lot of focus recently in Dragon Ball or Super, and I'm like, Gohan is like the best. And like when like my favorite stuff is like Gohan versus Cell. Like that specific, like Gohan is the coolest teenager there, and I'm like, he never got cooler than there, and he deserves to.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that when I mean, obviously, like they kept going with the Majin Buu storyline, but like Gohan was nerfed after that point. You know, for whatever story reasons you can come up with, or whatever they had in mind. You know, it was a step backwards for the character of Gohan, and it was unfortunate for fans of that arc, especially like in that character of Gohan, that to go through that whole show, the rest of that show, even with the Mystic Saiyan stuff and whatnot, but like, and then all of Super practically with Gohan just being goofy dad up until maybe the final arc of Super, which was really cool to watch. So like I'm glad that we're giving him and hopefully we're just giving him a movie. Obviously Goku has to be in it, but like this is his movie.
I hope so. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to see what the involvement of everyone is going to be, and what ultimately that new ultimate thing is going to be.
And it's next
be
month.
It Cell or Android 21 or something brand new.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll learn when it's coming to the States soon.
I have a sneaking suspicion not something brand new. I'm pretty sure it's one of those two things.
Yeah. Well, 21 would be new to people who don't play video games.
Sure.
So that would be cool.
But I mean not like a brand new, completely never before seen character. I think those are 2 and 1. Those are our brand new characters, and then this is going to be something we've seen.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. There was a new Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent trailer that dropped with the Batman, but it's not online. So
technically the same with that Sonic 2 trailer. There was some new footage in that one that dropped with the Batman too.
Yeah, also not online. Crazy.
Also, did they release the newer DC like slate thing? Because there was a improved version.
No, I didn't know. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a DC slate thing in front of mine. So
wait, you didn't have the DC slate?
No,
we're showing like the Flash. Okay,
you did, yeah.
Yeah, we're saying that it's updated. And
it's a little
released online.
which is fine. Yeah, I'm still excited for that unbearably massive movie. Yeah.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent did reveal more of what is actually going on in that movie.
It's the interview.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a spy and try to murder a man.
Yeah.
All right.
But the trailer that was released online that dropped with the Batman was DC League of Super Pets, a new trailer for that.
I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed like the scene that they showed with Batman and Kevin Hart. Like I thought it was really funny. I'm still not interested in all those random other pets, but like the stuff they showed in this, I was like, I'm really.
If this were just a movie focusing on like the relationship between Krypto and Superman and Ace and Batman, and through the eyes of Ace and Krypto, and it was just like a buddy movie about those two, I'd be way more here for it than all those other extra things that are going on.
Yeah. This trailer really really put those other characters to the background to focus, and I was really happy about that. This also revealed new information that Keanu Reeves is Batman. We didn't know he was playing until this point.
Sounds good. I like it.
I like him a lot as Batman.
Whoever Morgan Freeman played in that movie.
It's just some good jokes. I hope it's good, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
All right. The Bubble.
Yes, which originally released this week as Cliff Beast 6.
6, yes.
Okay, I was confused because like I thought this was. Anyway.
No, I remember seeing a poster for Cliff Beast 6. I'm like, hold up, what the heck is Cliff Beast 6?
So then they put up a new. So Cliff Beast 6, and they were like, look up The Bubble. And then so they had a trailer. They had a trailer, and then they had a poster. And then I saw that they put up the same poster, but it's got a bunch of green screen animals instead of real animals. And it's called The Bubble, and it's directed by Judd Apatow.
It's basically a comedy about making a sci-fi style sequel film, sci-fi channel style sequel film during the pandemic.
It's Tropic Thunder in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Which is a great idea. I love Judd Apatow.
Honestly, I thought this looked pretty funny. I was curious, like, are we getting a little too far removed from this type of a movie being made? Like it's parodying pandemic movies, but like not really happening anymore. But it looks very funny.
I don't think it's necessarily parodying parody movies. I think it's making fun of movies that happen to take place because we are in a pandemic right now. I don't think it's making fun of parody movies or pandemic movies.
I really should have shut up because like I couldn't articulate my point. So I do feel bad. I do feel bad, but I was essentially saying what you were saying, attempting to anyway. But I think it looks pretty funny.
I love these type of movies when they're done well. I am worried that this is going to be like Don't Look Up, where apparently that movie's not good and very tone deaf.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this is actually as funny as it looks, and it's not just like
because it's got a good cast.
It's got a really good cast, so I hope it's not just like unbearably bad, because like Judd Apatow normally hits.
Stop being fake Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, that was
I appreciate them taking some things to task.
Yeah. I'm interested. I always want to like a Judd Apatow movie.
It's me, Doctor Strange.
The Last Bus.
Which one was
the Timothy Spall film where he's traveling across to Land's End?
I definitely watched the trailer, but I don't. I literally.
It's the one with like all the robots taking over people.
Oh, the apocalypse! Yeah. Okay.
It's like, hey, there's only one way to save the environment. Let's murder everyone.
Yeah, so there's like a fog rolling through or something. Yeah.
Robots sapping people.
I'm sure it's better than. I hope it's better than what I remember, which is not a lot apparently.
I considered taking this one out, but I wanted to know what you guys thought.
I've watched all these trailers in a row, and I guess I don't remember this one very well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait,
this one
what are you guys talking about?
I remember the
Last Bus.
robots. Oh yes. Oh yeah. It's about the inventor guy. It's Mitchell's versus Machines live action.
Yes, it's like the kids they're in this bus and they're trying to escape these robots.
Yeah, Stranger Things with robots.
This is not what I watched.
Then you watched the wrong trailer.
What did you watch? I want to know.
I watched the trailer for The Last Bus.
What was your trailer?
No, you watched the wrong trailer. You watched the trailer for a different movie.
For a movie coming out this year with
Timothy
Spall.
What year?
I was wondering why we were talking about it.
What year is it?
Oh, 2021.
Yeah, no, it's a sci-fi TV show. It looks like Stranger Things.
It's a Netflix TV show.
It looks like Stranger Things with robots instead.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's Mitchell versus the Machines live action, but looks less charming.
Yes, I do. It is now coming back to me. I thought it looked totally fine.
And the guy from Klaus from the Umbrella Academy, he's like the inventor guy who is going to cure all of it.
Yes. Yeah. I felt like I've seen this thing 100 times before. So yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it better with Mitchell's vs. Machines.
Tell me what your trailer was about, real quick.
Yeah, I want to know.
You guys remember Timothy Spall?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's playing an old guy, and his wife passed away, and he's just trying to. It's kind of like Up, but like real.
Oh,
and
no!
And they just say they always wanted to like take the cross country bus all the way to Land's End, and so he's doing that, and but it's like making the news because he's just getting on these buses and telecommuting all the time, and so people are talking about him, and people are just cheering him on, like, you go, old man.
That's lovely.
And it's just like really heartwarming and sweet. And I was like, I don't know why this isn't our week. That's really nice.
Well, you got a nice little trailer. Probably better than the one this one is.
Oh yeah, look at that. See, it's Last Bus UK trailer right below the Last Bus.
So on when I looked it up, it was the top thing. So I just clicked it.
That's so
very funny. Your YouTube knows you.
It does. It looks like a charming movie. It's on my watch list now. Like I was like, all right, cool. I guess this is because I brought him up last week. Like who knows?
All right.
Ooh, this one's creepy.
I hope this is good because this is definitely one of those horror movies. I'm like, oh, this has a great trailer. Ends up being totally whatever.
Sure.
I love Sandra. And like Vietnamese horror stuff with moms is like very spooky. So like I'm all about it.
Yeah, the mom looks very creepy. I love the poster too, with like the mom's like almost like skull like face.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Like very isolated, living on a farm with just like a couple characters, so like they can like live with the characters and grow with them. Like I hope it's good. This looks really good.
Yeah, they want to be isolated to get away from like the evil of the and then it like follows them. Love it.
It seems like it wants to bring in a lot of like Korean culture stuff to it, so I'm hoping that lands. I mean, there's a nine tail in this. So, but I have to admit that like I like Sandra Oh. I just kind of felt like as a horror movie, I was like, I don't know what's necessarily here that I haven't seen.
Yes.
Not doing anything special here to grab me other than representation.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's good.
Yeah.
Well, also throughout the trailer, I kind of like how you see Sandra Oh kind of becoming the mom she didn't like in the first place. And then when the daughter's like, I'm going to leave, and it's like, ooh, the cycle continues.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that it's solid.
Yeah.
Then Bullet Train.
Man, this looks great.
Yeah, there's a movie that came. A lot of people are saying like Kingsman vibes. It's not Kingsman vibes. It's called Smokin' Aces. A movie came out like 15 years ago called Smokin' Aces, which is about a bunch of assassins going to kill Jeremy Pivens because he's a dude like working for the mob, whatever.
Buddy,
and I'm like, huh?
Fincher?
No,
David Fincher? No,
not at all.
Who directed The Gentleman? It's the same guy. Smoking Aces. Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie. I got Guy Ritchie vibes from this.
Sure, absolutely, sure, yeah. Like character-driven like comedy action movie. It's almost like a comedy version of what's the train snow movie?
Snowpiercer.
Yeah, so it's like they're like there's so many different types of assassins. You got like the Yakuza, and you got these guys and these other guys, and I'm like, this just looks like a big fun movie. Brad Pitt is like my favorite actor alive. I will watch that dude do anything.
It's been a while since I've seen him do. It's been a while since I've seen him do this kind of type of action. I'm really excited to see it again.
There are so many cast members in here I didn't know were in here.
There's a lot of people in makeup that like are hard to recognize too. Like it looks so fun.
Michael Shannon's in this movie.
Yeah, he's a dude with like the long wig you see for half a second.
Logan Lerman's in this movie.
Yep.
Lady Gaga's in this movie.
Yep.
Sandra Bullock's in this movie. Zazie Beetz and Aaron Taylor Johnson are both in this movie.
They're both in those are both.
I saw them both in the trailer, but this is an insane cast.
It's the director of Deadpool 2, so a lot of the people from Deadpool 2 are in this, like Zazie Beetz and stuff. I think this looks awesome.
And most importantly, Masioka's in this movie.
Is that the
Heroes?
Hero from Heroes.
Oh, hell yeah!
Oh, I didn't know who directed. Yeah, David Leitch. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why there's so many Deadpool 2 returnees?
I'm so excited.
For the audience, not only Deadpool 2, but John Wick 1 co-directed that.
Tyree Henry.
Oh yeah, he's like the second. Well, I don't know if he's like the second lead, but he gets the most like screen with Brad Pitt. Yeah, this looks like a fun movie. Like he's playing an assassin dealing with a bunch of other assassins on a train.
Love it.
And it's like take place in Japan or Tokyo, so it's got a great view, got a great look.
Yes.
Yeah.
On a train, love it.
For when I saw the trailer, I just love it when the lady with the cart comes in and he's like, do you have any sparkling water? And he's like, yeah, that's the stuff. And throws it the bottle at the guy when she leaves.
Yeah.
It's like,
really, Really stylish trailer. I hope this is a winner.
I got scared. I got really scared because I looked behind you and I saw a man.
It's the Batman.
It was Jeffrey Wright.
Relax, man.
I was like, oh my god, guys!
He just appears.
It's out.
Oh wow!
Sometimes late at night at 10 p.m. Jeffrey Wright appears.
Okay. Anyway, I'm excited for Bullet Train. I'm really excited for that movie. It looks great.
July.
All right, shall we do the Batman?
Ah, that's not a Batman.
What?
Nothing. Don't even worry about it.
Okay. So we're talking about the Batman. This is the latest film from Warner Brothers, Matt Reeves. Full spoilers. If you haven't seen it, you've been warned. So who wants to go first?
It's a good movie.
Absolute trash.
Yeah.
Ben?
It was all right. No, I'm kidding. It was really good. I really like this movie.
You know what? If you said it was all right, that's fine. That's your opinion. Totally valid to your wrong opinion. I was writing my notes for this one, and I was like, I want to write some notes down for this one so I can remember some points. And I was just like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. These notes are useless. It's just me loving things. I love this movie, and I'm fully willing to admit recency bias here, but I strongly believe it has surpassed Batman Begins as my favorite Batman movie, which has been my favorite Batman movie and probably my favorite CBM for a long time. And now the Batman has surpassed it in every way. I adored this movie.
CBM, chili booked mayo?
Yeah, that's definitely what that means.
Man, some people who they might not know.
Comic book movie, for those of you who don't know.
Listen, some people don't know what LOL means, and I'm like, what year is it? You got to be lying to me.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So you can't tell if I'm lying or not.
No, I can't tell, because I see you type LOL all the time, Brandon.
Yeah, that's literally that's the end of my
paragraph.
paragraph.
It's different when Brandon types it. That means, don't worry, I'm crying inside.
Oh, that's the real LOL. Yes, Brandon, I agree. This movie rules. I think it is my favorite Batman movie. I don't think it's the best movie that has Batman in it. You know what I mean? I still I think The Dark Knight is a better movie. But this is the Batman movie that if I were to make a Batman movie, this is the closest version I'd want it to be. Where it's realistic, but there are still hints of like it could get weird. It can be weird.
I think I echo that assessment where I think this is the best Batman movie, like a Batman adaptation.
I love the world.
So
the world gets a 10 out of 10.
It's so
hands down.
It's so very much all the things I've wanted on screen for Batman for so long, done correctly.
The first 10 minutes of the movie gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Like for real. Like the opening with his line, the greatest line in any Batman movie for me. They think I live in the shadows. I am the shadows. Yeah. That is straight out of a Brubaker freaking Batman comic book, baby. It's so good.
When the movie starts, and I had no idea what we were going to do, it says the Batman, and then Robert Pattinson starts doing a voiceover. I was like, they did it. They did it. I've wanted them to do that kind of noir voiceover in a Batman movie for years. Like Spark said, there's a lot in this movie that I've wanted in a Batman film. Not just the fact that it's a near perfect suit where it doesn't like bunch up his face like this. It's a great suit. He does the narration at the beginning and the end, the kind of noir solving narration. He's a detective. He's a good detective. The opening sequence where you're as an audience member not sure, is he in those shadows? Is he watching this person? And it makes him someone on Twitter. I don't always like going to this well, but someone on Twitter likened it to like Michael Myers. Like you don't know if he's there. You don't know if he's stalking or their prey. And like the people who are doing the crimes, they don't know. So that's the kind of fear that he wants to instill in it. And then when he does finally show up and he walks out of those shadows, brilliant.
I absolutely love how every criminal who's doing a crime gets caught by the searchlight and they look up to see the signal, and then the camera instantly goes to the shadows. And I thought the same thing. Like when I saw the guys with the face paint, because it's a trailer shot, I was like, they're going to get beat up by Batman. Mm-hmm. But there's also that, but what if we're seeing his night throughout? Like he takes down the robber. He handcuffs the vandals, and then he finally beats down the gang of thugs. And I'm like, I also have to agree, this probably is I mean, once again, it might be recency bias because you guys know I love The Dark Knight, but everything I've been wanting in a Batman movie, I got in this one. It's like, this is the mother effing Batman. And this, I feel it goes back to Batman's roots. It explores his psyche a little bit, or maybe not a psyche, that's probably the wrong way to say it, but it just explores the effect he's had on people as a whole of Gotham. You have a great new Riddler who's not just a dude who's like flamboyant and like spits riddles out. He is an actual threat.
What they did was what that I like about Riddler. So Riddler's my favorite Batman villain in the comics, and I've always wanted kind of like a true adaptation of the Riddler. To a degree, like there's always kind of the sense of like he's upset that he's not smarter than Batman. That's why he's so obsessive, and we do kind of get that in those adaptations, even in this one to a degree. But like what I found interesting about Arkham Knight, for example, is how they redefined Scarecrow. They made him a terrifying villain, a threat on par with like the best Batman villains. And they did the same thing for Riddler in this movie. And I was very appreciative of it. I really like how they kind of reinterpreted the Riddler while keeping it true to his roots.
Yeah. All the character stuff I really love. Real quick, because there's not a lot of it, I do want to talk about just like the narration is great. And it's also tied to Batman's journey in Gotham, because it's not just narration for the audience, it's him keeping his journal. And then at the end of the movie we see he's kept hundreds of journals and he writes every single night every single thing he does. And the coolest thing for me about this movie is like he is a detective, but like, man, Batman would have to be like the smartest guy on the planet to remember everything that he sees. Holy shit, he has contact lenses that record everything he sees. That's the brilliant thing that's ever been in a Batman movie.
When he took out,
so smart, I can't handle it.
The thing about
when he's at the crime scene, I'm like, shouldn't he like get a picture?
He stares at everything. He stares,
and
so
then
much.
and then we get there and he has the contact lens. And I'm like, these mother effers, they're so smart.
So there's two things that you brought up that I do want to highlight. One is the contact lenses. Like the thing about like this movie that we've been seeing in the trailers, like, oh, this is like dark, this is realism, this is Batman. Those contact lenses aren't realism. They are straight out of a comic book. And when he takes them out, there's little cameras. Brilliant. I almost cheered in the audience. I was not in the right audience to do so, but like I almost cheered, like, yes, this is what I want. The other thing about the opening scene where he's in the murder of the mayor and he's looking around, he sees things that the forensic people don't. And so like when he sees the blood, the little bit of blood from the rug scraper, he like looks at it, and then the girl is taking the pictures looks at him. Oh shoot, I should take a
picture of that. And again, like you immediately know that it's a detective thing because they're looking at the body, and Batman's like, they took the finger off when he was alive. The finger has this type of thing. It's like a medical thing. That's how he's like, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, he's smart. Hell yeah. I love it.
The thumb drive. This movie is also darkly funny, and I love it.
This movie, our audience was not laughing enough for how funny this movie actually is.
Yeah,
I thought this movie was really funny.
There were some parts. I can't remember.
Jokes in mind. It's just like the scenario that's happening. It's like, this is a real thumb drive. Isn't this ridiculous? It's thumb like drive. Wow, it's so funny.
Just like when the thumb drive, like the device, the USB drive, when it came out, and even Gordon's like, you gotta be kidding me. Also, a huge, because obviously the Riddler was the guy who plays.
Hold on, wait. Are you about to change topics? Because I have more to say about the topic we were on.
Yeah, I think I was about to change.
Okay, real quickly, before you do so, I want to talk about the humor of this movie a bit more. The thing that I really like about this movie is that it is darkly funny. It is funny. It's not necessarily jokes, but it's never laughing at itself.
No.
And that's really important. Like there is a sense whenever there's humor in the Dark Knight films, all three of them, that it is kind of like we're in on the joke. Nolan is not one to make a joke a minute, so he's not necessarily doing that. But whatever there is, that's just kind of where it sits. But this film, the laughter comes from the comic book absurdity of the situation, not just thumb drive and things like that, but never in a way that makes you feel like, oh yeah, we're in on the joke. There is no joke. That's just a situational humor that this is.
I think the funniest the movie gets is the penguin scene, where Penguin.
No habla español, fellas.
Yeah, like Penguin, like God, Batman and Gordon think they have the Penguin on the rocks, and they're like, "Tell us what you know," blah blah blah. And the Penguin's like, "Wow, you guys are real stupid. You don't even know Spanish? Habla inglés, my guys!" Like, it's so absurd, and you're like, I can't believe I'm watching this scene happen right now. This is so stupid, and I love it.
I was talking to Zara on the way home from seeing the movie, and I was like, "Man, Colin Farrell's really Farrell, right? Really great as the Penguin." I was like, "Who's Colin Farrell? Look at a picture of Colin Farrell." She looks at the picture and she's like, "This guy's the Penguin." Great
That's
makeup.
actually who I was gonna. That was my next talking point, because God, he's so good in this movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every actor in this movie brings their A game. I love every single actor, every single performance, but just knowing what Colin Farrell looks like IRL, and to see him as the Penguin, and just the way he does his voice, and it's just so good. And I love how they call him.
It's a transformative performance that Colin Farrell is doing, and it works spectacularly well. He's very good.
He's like the levity of the film.
I know we see him in suits throughout the movie, but I just cannot wait. I really hope they make another one with Colin Farrell as like the main baddie.
He's getting a show, my dude.
He has an HBO show coming.
Never mind. I'm getting that because I want to see more of him in the Penguin suit, wearing like the tuxedo, and I don't know, maybe getting the monocle, or maybe they go with the Batman Arkham City route, and he gets a beer bottle shoved in his eye. I don't know.
I want to see. All I care about. We're gonna see the umbrella. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
we're gonna get the umbrella. The Oswald. Since we're on Oswald, there is I do want to highlight the chase sequence, through the car chase sequence.
That was hype.
The moment he's in that car, revving it, and you see the lights kind of turn on, brilliant. How they frame the chase as well. Constantly looking over Oswald's car, and then looking directly at Oswald's car when we're at Batman's perspective. One of the things that they do in this movie that I really like is how there's a couple of moments where the camera, not actually, but it's like meant to be situated on the engine of the car, and the camera moves because the engine is moving. So like the engine's vibrating, and so it's moving the camera, and that's great stuff. Great little attention to details. Love everything. No notes.
I did see people say that this chase scene was way too long, and I have some problems with the movie, but like that is the opposite of a problem that I had. I was like, how can anyone dislike this? Like, I guess I'm just thinking of the Boba Fett chase scene. I'm like, this is immaculate, and I'm like, he's doing like the Penguin doesn't get collateral damage, and he's just like almost running people over, destroying shit.
This ends with a car exploding and then becoming a ramp that Batman jumps over. Brilliant.
Also,
brilliant.
That scene entirely practical. That going through the fire, all practical.
Good. Brilliant. Love it. No notes. 10 out of 10.
So I couldn't easily count so many shots of this movie where I'm sitting there going, this is effing art. Like, obviously the trailer shot where he's walking from the car in the fire, the score is blaring and crescendoing, and Penguin's terrified.
I had to stop myself from cheering in this movie many times.
He looks at the side of the car.
I'm just like, ooh, that's art. There's another a really good scene. Oh, the scene where he gets the DA and it's out of focus, and he's taping the bomb to the DA. It's like, something horrible is happening. I was like, this is, even though you can't fully see, it's like, this is some art. This is some creepy art right here. Just this, and I'm sitting here going, man, I haven't had this good a feeling about this hopeful feeling about comic books and superhero films since the freaking Dark Knight.
I don't want to get into that discussion, but you did bring up something interesting. This film is a lot more hopeful than I expected it being from the trailers. The ending of this film ends on a very high note, a note that you're meant to feel like, oh, Gotham is a place that can be saved. This mission is not for naught. He is inspiring people, and I think that's really good.
I want you to talk because you haven't said much yet. But the thing, because you bring up the hopeful ending and stuff, like the whole marketing and like trailer and stuff, it's like, this is a Batman who's brutal and he's about vengeance. That's not what it's actually about. It's about that's who he thinks he needs to be. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, God, dude, that shot at the end when it's like bright out and he's holding that kid, and I'm just like, he doesn't need to be hope. He doesn't need to be vengeance. He needs to be hope. And I'm like, wow, this is like the most optimistic Batman has ever been. Like in live action form, like even more than the Dark Knight, like when he's like, I gotta save the people, be the bad guy. I'm like, this is in the middle of in the day. This is crazy. Like it's really something that we don't get to see in Batman because like he's a man of the shadows. He doesn't always have to be that, and that's really important for Batman because again, this is a guy who walks around with a 13-year-old sidekick. Like it's not just about the dark shadows. And it's really cool. This movie explores that when you thought it was just going to be anger.
I want to instill fear in the criminals, but hope in the citizens of Gotham. So actually, you haven't said anything.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys have been saying. Yeah, I really like the ending. I'm not sure quite where to bridge from here.
No, yeah, we're talking.
No, I know. I really like the ending. I like that it's a whole journey for him of realizing that essentially like the same thing from the anime movie. We talked about this where he's trying to save the kid and the kid's screaming and crying because his costume is too scary, so he changes his costume and Superman comments on it later. It's that same like vibe of I'm not trying to scare children. And like coming to terms with what he means and what he represents in the city and the way that they have that piece of shit incel say I am vengeance, knowing that it'll dig at Batman. And the way that like kind of cements his whole arc of it. The car chase scene is the best action scene, kind of the main action scene of the film, honestly, at such a interesting point in the structure of the film is where it is.
I will say this isn't a negative. None of the action, I think we saw a lot of the action in the trailers, which was unfortunate. None of the action outside of the car chase really blew me away because we saw a lot of it in the trailers. If I didn't see a lot of the like machine gun in the darkness shots in the trailer, I would have been more surprised by it. But I feel like a lot of the money shots we saw in the trailers, which again doesn't ruin the movie, but I'm like, I wish they would have hit a lot of that because I think it's a lot of it's really good. I don't know if I would give any action scene outside of the car chase like a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what
but you know what I mean.
I get what you mean. I do get the idea that like the trailers did put in way more of the action that I feel like they should have.
Yeah.
But I don't agree. I would because every action scene for me hit very nicely. Especially the final one in the what's it called? Arena.
Gotham Square Garden, yeah.
Yeah, and that place when like man, there's a bit where he like jumps out of the smoke and like tackles a dude. I'm like Batman.
Yeah,
really loved it all.
No, I thought they did a good job with the action piece. It's hard because like you're marketing a film where like honestly action isn't the point.
Yeah,
and like the point is that it's very a mystery. And that's present.
It's so character driven.
Yeah, it's very very character driven. To the film's benefit, it's the way I want it to be.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it. I like less is more in terms of the action. And that made all those moments at least hit. I felt like we had good breath between them. So I really enjoyed that. Even if we weren't seeing like the most amazing action, I felt like we were seeing good action.
Yeah, no, yeah, I didn't dislike it.
No. But I'm thinking of like what did we talk about recently where we were just kind of like it was very recent. We talked about a movie where we were just like all the action was fine.
Yeah.
The Matrix. It's the Matrix Resurrections where we talked about the action scene in the middle with everybody, and it's like it's all just
none of it was
serviceable in that. And I'm like, all the action here felt solid. It might not have been like crescendoing or like doing anything broad and big as much as like the car chase scene was, but it still felt really really solid. Batman felt solid.
That's a really good callback because like I totally agree because this film is much more character driven, much like The Matrix is Matrix Resurrection is more interested in the character work. This film is also, and so having the characters drive the mystery of it, because that is first and foremost what this movie is about, is the mystery, was very well done and very well paced.
I'm glad you said that because speaking of mystery, Mag is in the chat. Hey bud, he said love the mystery of why Riddler is doing what he's doing, and also he commented about anytime I hear his footsteps, it's like a cowboy is walking with spurs in a Western film.
Absolutely.
I love the weight of his footsteps.
Oh my god,
it sounds really good.
They're like 40-pound boots. It sounds like it's incredible.
It does. If I were to give a negative to this film, now I'm gonna also give this with a big asterisk along with it because it could also have been what my physical state was, because I was also very tired and this is a very long movie. was that there are parts of the film where I did feel like it dragged, and I was lucky to stay awake through the whole film, but there are parts where I'm just like, can this please end so I can go to sleep?
That's
Now that I was exhausted. If I went in this film fully rested, I might think differently.
I want to before you continue, I do want to chime in because like I do 100% think that's it. That's a you thing, and not as like a anything negative, because like you told us before, you've had a long week, you didn't get a lot of sleep. My partner constantly falls asleep through shorter movies, and she was not falling asleep in this movie even once. I think this film, personally for me, does not have any fat. I think it's very well paced and very well made.
Megan was not hot on seeing the Batman, wanted to see it but wasn't hot on it, and also doesn't really like movies that go on too long. Didn't feel that way about this one. Really enjoyed it more than she thought she would. She was genuinely surprised at how much she liked this film. I have to agree, I've thought about it backwards and forwards a lot of like, is there anything I think I would cut from this movie? And honestly, not really, no. The closest you get for me personally is the Joker scene.
Sure.
That's for me personally. But I also really appreciate what Matt Reeves was saying about why he decided to put it in, because there's a lot of extensive conversation about it, and I highly recommend reading it. But he originally put it without that scene there, and he felt like the ending was wrong. And I ultimately, it boils down to him wanting the Joker's presence is meant to continue to present that Batman's job isn't finished. And that's why when you get to the final scene between him and Selina, and he has to go back to Gotham, he can't go with her because you've just seen his job will never be finished. And I think that's a fair point. The thing was, I think just the way the scene is structured, it felt a little post-credits-y scene in the movie
Definitely
for me,
did, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't crazy about it. Perhaps it would have been better if they had left the other scene he filmed originally in,
where Batman talks to Joker.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, before hearing that explanation, I was actually not super hot on the Joker scene. It was cool. Like, you don't actually see him, and he only delivers it's like, oh yeah, they treat you like a clown. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the Joker.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just because.
But you can see him. You can see enough of him to know that his face is deformed. Love it.
Exactly. I do like that part, but at the same time, I feel like there's just too much Joker fatigue or Joker buildup. If that makes sense.
That is fair. Yeah.
I want to have a conversation about what I think my impression of what Matt Reeves had to say about Joker. That kind of, because I'm kind of like you, Ben. When I was watching, I'm like, I really didn't need that in this movie. I liked so much else, and like that. Maybe because of the way it was structured, it felt too much like a tease up, and I was just like, really didn't vibe that in the movie. It didn't check with me, but I've started to reassess some of those feelings, and I want to get into that later when we're talking about like where this can go. But I want to stay focused on the film right now. But I really liked it. I really liked that. I think that you lose a character if you trim down from what we are. And because it is a character-driven piece, I wouldn't. Because I think the character you lose is honestly either you lose some stuff with Selina or you lose some stuff with Falcone. You lose one of them. And I wouldn't.
So let me tell you, and like maybe if we talk it through, I'll feel more positive on it. But right now, I am not hot on Alfred fake dying. It's the one part of the movie where I'm like, Alfred's barely in the movie enough for me to really get his character. Like, I get his character enough, right? I've read a lot of Batman comics. I can put it together. The movie doesn't give me enough for him to almost die and then not die and then not really be in the movie that much more. You know what I mean? And like him dying, and like I really do like the scene in the hospital, but like I don't think he needed to fake die. I don't think we needed to fake out to get that same scene. You know what I mean? That could have been a conversation they still have regardless. The fake out, I think it would have been better for the movie that they're trying to make if Alfred just would have died. Because again, he wasn't in the movie very much for me to care about his fake death. You know what I mean?
I understand, but also I want to say, okay, because one of the things I do want to praise this movie is that it knows the audience. It's like we don't see the Waynes die. We don't see Thomas and Martha die.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
fake
God.
Thank God.
Good fake out with the opening.
Yeah, no opening of saying the origin of Batman. We freaking know already. Damn it! I think the reason.
Real quickly, sorry to interrupt, Ben. Real quickly, I said after watching Joker that if I have to watch the Waynes die again, I'm going to shoot him myself. So thank goodness that we did not have to sit through that again.
Thank goodness. I feel like this movie is like, look, you know who Batman is, you know who Alfred is, you know their dynamic. This is a year 2 Batman. Alfred is still kind of on Bruce doing the Batman bit. But you know the relationship is there, and then you know
general audience members don't, though. I read Batman. General audience members don't.
I would say okay. Maybe.
I think there's enough general audience assumption that they would know Batman's relationship with
My
Alfred.
mom.
Well, I don't know your mom.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I don't think there's enough character stuff to warrant him dying. Like, having to bring in previous knowledge for a character should never be a thing in comic book movies. You know what I mean? We always talk about that. And this is just my personal opinion. Like, obviously, you guys don't agree.
No. Are you saying like you'd rather he died, or that they just didn't even go down that road?
Don't even fake his death. Yeah, because it happened so early in the movie where I don't have the establishment for Alfred.
So I talked with Megan about this, and like I definitely did not want him to die, because this is a different Alfred than we've ever had.
Yeah,
because he's a bodyguard, not a butler, and that has changed their relationship and dynamic.
Yeah.
This is not a Alfred who feels in any way subservient to Bruce. He's an Alfred who feels like he's going to call Bruce on his shit,
and he trained him.
And be more proactive with him, rather than kind of apologetic and then commentary after the apology.
I love their relationship. I don't like that they fake killed him.
I'm working my way up.
Sorry.
So this is me saying, like, I absolutely did not want him to die, because I don't think that this movie could have serviced his character enough in any form for what they were doing to justify a death of the character in this film, because I want more of this new relationship we've never had before.
Yes.
When it comes to the fake dying, I almost agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But what changed it for me was when Robert Pattinson delivers the piece about, I didn't think I could feel that fear.
Okay.
I didn't think I could feel the fear that I felt that night. I have done all of this to get over that it would never be a part of me. I could not be touched by it until tonight.
Okay.
When I thought it was going to be you.
It does kind of change the character's direction.
And I think because I don't think it services Alfred's character very well. I acknowledge that, and it still makes me questionable of that plot decision. However, I do think it is critical for Bruce, because this is a Bruce who is pushing Alfred away actively up to that point in the film, and something had to shift for him to bring him in, and it wasn't going to be the same monumental shift that he also makes as a character later of, I need to change how I treat the city.
Mm-hmm.
That happens in steps with his character throughout the film, and one of those steps is, I am afraid if I lose Alfred, I need to change how I behave with Alfred.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am afraid if I lose the city, I need to change how I behave with the city.
Yeah.
I think that it is a bridge to his journey by the end of it.
Okay.
And therefore it made me more accepting, though a little questionable of exactly how they went about it, but more accepting of the decision to put him in that kind of jeopardy.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. I still feel I
think if they hadn't done that moment, that specific moment where he goes for like 2 minutes about, I conquered it in all these ways.
Yeah.
And I thought it could not touch me, and now it did. I think without that specific inflection from him and them holding hands by the end of it, and that being like such a difference from where we start with such a cold shoulder Bruce to him at the beginning, I don't think it would land.
That makes sense.
I don't think it fully justifies the choice.
I feel if the same moment would have happened an hour later, I probably would feel stronger about it. Because again, I think it happens too early in the movie.
Yeah.
But that does alleviate some of the stress. But
it services the problem is, I think the problem with the scene is that no matter what way you slice it, it really only services one character more than the other. I wish it was servicing both, and I agree with you there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It does create some really interesting tension when he realizes that he's the next victim, and you as the audience are like, well, he can't be, but somebody can be. Get to the damn tower, Bruce.
Then
it gets to Alfred died, but then he didn't.
Hold up. Let me go. I've been chomping on a bit for this. So one of the things why I like that scene quite a bit is because Bruce wasn't there. When I love how it's shot, making it seem like he's gonna get there and open the door, and he sees Alfred with the bomb. Mm-hmm. But when he's on the phone and he talks to Dolly, and Dolly's like, "Sir, it already happened." I don't know why, but for a split second, I thought maybe Dolly was in on the take And she was like, no, I planted this bomb. I'm killing him. But then it's like, when you see the smoke from the tower, it's like, oh, Alfred. I see him throw the bomb away and he doesn't die. But you see the damage and Bruce is too late. In the very beginning of the movie, he does say, I can't be everywhere. He can't beat every crime, which is one of the best things about that opening scene. It's like, which crime is he going to? Or can he make all of them? He does do a lot of stuff in one night. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he knows that he's still just a man, a very powerful, strong man, he can't do everything. And it's to me, it's a very human moment that he's like messed up.
I will contend that my biggest problem with it, I think, honestly, is that I think it's too stupid of Alfred to open the package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would have preferred that Alfred was doing something else in the same room and you saw the package sitting there and put off. 2 and 2 together and it went off, but he wasn't near it. So that's how he did okay with dealing with it. But it's that an Alfred who's not a butler, who's a bodyguard, who was trained and has some awareness and knows that they've been going after Riddler and knows what kind of dangerous criminal is, gets a package that says for Bruce Wayne's eyes only, doesn't
and then opens it.
Even somewhat get trepidatious about that, is maybe a little questionable on that character's part. And that's the part that really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, why would he open this?
Sure.
Can I say one of my favorite things about Alfred in this movie?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't disagree with any of your negatives. I don't think I have any negatives, so I'll stay quiet whenever you guys talk about negatives. But Alfred has a moment where he helps with the cipher. So I love the fact that he's like, yeah, no, this is kind of like a puzzle, and he's helping Bruce he's actively helping Bruce with the investigation, using his own smarts, teaching Bruce in a way that Bruce learns some new things with the riddles. I do really like that relationship that they have. He is not okay with what he's doing, but he's like, oh no, this is what this means, and this is what this did, and I like that.
My favorite thing about that is that while Alfred will be unhappy that Bruce is doing what he's doing, he also can't help but want to A, solve the puzzle, but B, also try and solve the mystery, and stop a killer. He can't resist; it's too appealing, and I think that's a good dynamic for them.
Yeah, it is. I do like the Earth 1, Earth 2, or whatever it is. Earth 2, where it's I'm ex-SAS of British Special Forces, and I trained Batman. I'm like, that's all right. I like this offer.
Yeah,
I really, really like that this movie opens with Bruce amongst the people, in his little jacket and in his Times Square with his ball cap, very hiding out amongst them. I think that works really, really well. I like that's the vibe of him getting his feel that carries over from the year 1 comic.
Yeah, this is not Playboy Bruce Wayne yet. He is still in his emo phase. I'm still thinking about my sad parents.
Yeah,
this is year 2 Batman. Now,
they say that a lot.
Yeah, another thing about this movie I actually really love, and as a kid, I remember as a kid, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I'm watching superhero films, is when you see Robert Pattinson on screen, he's in the bat suit a good 80% of the movie.
Yeah.
He is Batman more than he is Bruce Wayne.
Not a lot of Bruce.
Whereas a lot of other movies, the actor playing Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne more of the time than they are Batman. Mm-hmm. Which, when I was a kid, it's I came here to see the suit. I came here to see the superhero stuff. And of course, as a kid, as an adult, I have changed my mind. But as I'm watching this, it's no, this is really good. I'm seeing Batman, a lot of Batman. This is what I want.
Bruce and Batman are the same person in this movie.
There's a thing that they do that Sparks talked about with the hoodie and things like that, where he uses that to kind of to move within the shadows of people, right? He's moving amongst the people to then he will expel that outfit that he wears, the hoodie and the cap, and then he'll become Batman in that area, almost kind of like Spider-Man in a bit, but it's kind of more of a dark, brooding, sneaky way. And I thought that was really cool, especially when it pays off with the third time that he goes to the Iceberg Lounge. The first 2 times he's like, do you know who I am? Both as Batman and the Bruce Wayne. And then he sneaks in and closes the door. Very funny moment. But having him I'm not going in as Batman. I'm not going in as Bruce Wayne. I'm sneaking in, and then I'm going to become Batman in there. great. I really like
Coming
that.
in as Bruce Wayne to become Batman.
Oh, first
Yeah.
of all, never in my effing life did I think I would see Tweedledee and Tweedledum in a live action Batman. Unbelievable. Those twins are so funny, so dweeby and stupid. I can't believe it. Super funny. They just get progressively more beat up as the movie goes along. Love it. Iceberg Lounge, great. Club below 44, whatever, even greater. Penguin,
44 below.
44 below Penguin, no complaints. Yeah, whatever. Zoe
Oh,
Kravitz-
easy, sweetheart.
Dude, I truly I've never been, especially after Peacemaker, I've never been more excited to watch a Penguin-led TV show in my life. Oh my god, give it to me today. Zoe Kravitz, love of my life. Catwoman, love of my life in comics. She's so good in this movie. The thing at the end where she's like, oh, I'm going somewhere else. I'm like, I swear to God, if you're not in the next movie, I'm gonna blow my brains out. What are you talking about? Get back to Gotham, honey. Her and Robert Pattinson have such good chemistry. It's baloney. It's so crazy. Her and Falcone have such good chemistry. John Turturro maybe like the standout of the movie, surprisingly, because he's just like, wow, I'm really cool and evil, baby. I'm like, oh my god, I love you. All the characters in this movie.
I'm
like,
so glad
right
he got
out of the comics.
I'm so glad he got to shine and that he was kind of like held back, and then started slowly coming to the forefront. And I love that he never really has a true confrontational moment with Batman.
No.
When he does, it's with Selina and it's with Bruce, but never really with Batman. And I thought that was great.
It's cool because like you don't realize how involved with the plot he is until the end. We're like, it's all about him. It's always been like him, and it's like he's the ultimate master. This is how you do a really good like villain reveal, because it's like they don't make a big deal out of it. He is the man in the shadows because you're not supposed to know he's there, and like he's just gradually showing up and like, what's up, sweetheart? And, like,
the reveal that like. Who cares who the mayor is? Falcone's the mayor of Gotham City. Everything goes through Falcone, and like how all the pieces come together of like the rebuilding fund or whatever, it's the renewal fund. How that was co-opted after the Wayne's death. Like there is a sense that like Riddler's got the wrong information. He thinks that the Waynes were in on it, but they weren't actually. There was a mistake, and like revealing all that and how like the renewal fund was bastardized after Wayne died, and how it was Falcone that did it. All of that good solid stuff and good solid, like we put the pieces in the movie and then it all comes together at the end.
I really like the section where Bruce is learning things about his parents because I like that this is one where we didn't go the full blown like they were bad people. Yeah. That's not what we're doing. But what we are saying is that they were fallible. And
they're human. Yeah.
They've always been perfect to Bruce and to the audience up to this point in every previous iteration.
Yeah.
But here we can be like, especially after your parents pass away, you start to look at them and see more of the human side of them and who they were outside of being the relationship that existed for you. Yeah. And the fact that that is a part of Bruce's journey in this is really great. That it's something where he has to reckon with like, my father was a good man, but not a perfect man.
Yeah, he made a mistake, which is unfortunately a really big mistake that cost someone their life. It's so cool. Like they're like they didn't have to go this far, but they did like, oh, you have the Waynes and the Arkhams, like the founding families of Gotham. Like, sweet, you're doing the Gates of Gotham, that original cool stuff. Then they made his mom an Arkham. And I'm like, oh, you're really just like going hardcore.
That's from Earth 1 too.
That's great shit. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Again, like this is like a quote unquote realistic movie, but unlike The Dark Knight, like this feels like a comic book.
Yes.
Yeah. Like this is all comic book shit that's happening. It's like it's allowed to be cheesy, like in a serious way.
I love the Nolan films. Real quickly, sorry, I love the Nolan films. Well, two of them, but like there is a sense that even Batman Begins are ashamed to be based on comic books. Not like whether or not they are, but that is the sense that you get because they're trying to they feel like they're trying to elevate the material. This film was not. This film was not ashamed of its roots at all. It embraces its roots, and that's very refreshing.
All the comic book roots it took. It's like when we were talking about the how Martha's in Arkham, and it's like, hey, that's Earth 1. They're doing stuff with the comics. Or when Selina gives Falcone the scratches, like in the Long Halloween. Yeah, I'm like, man, this movie is taking so many great comic book influences, and it's not afraid to show. It's like we took these scenes or these like this mythos from these selects or from these books because they're really, really good. And I was like, this is how
real quick. I don't think that this I hate analogy of like the realism thing that keeps getting tossed around with this, because like I don't think this Batman is grounded in reality. I do think the Nolans were.
Yeah.
I don't think that this Batman is grounded in reality. I think the characters are grounded in an emotional reality, and that's important, and that's shining through. But this is still a lot of comic book shit happening in this movie, and I'm really grateful for it, because that's still what I want going forward. I don't want us like
it's the Tom King Batman
pulling back the way we did with Nolan towards that, like it's got to be like kind of real.
Yeah, there was a sense that after Batman Begins, really like the world was kind of open, that you could go into a more fantastical route, but they didn't. They decided to double down on the realism, and they went in that direction. This film, it could go either way, and honestly, I'm happy to go whichever way is possible, whichever way you want. But it does feel like in this world, Mr. Freeze can show up. Penguin can have an umbrella gun. Like the more fantastical elements of Batman can exist in this world, because it's not afraid that it's based on a comic book. It is, like Spark said, grounded in emotional realism, but it is still a comic book world that we are inhabiting.
The scene after, sorry, hold really quick. So Grayson's in the chat. Wanted to pop in and just say I didn't get to go see it and don't want spoilers. I'll check in later.
Get out.
Get the hell out.
He already left. He probably didn't even hear us bring him up.
Yeah, you gotta bail right now. But yeah, at the scene at the end of the movie, I feel like I would be totally fine with seeing Superman fly down and be like, "You okay?" I could feel that that could happen in this world.
I mean, maybe not yet.
I don't want it yet.
Now, not to say I didn't want it, but the reason why I say that is because I could feel that would be a totally normal thing, that Superman were to fly down and look at Bruce and be like, "Yo, you need help? I can help you out with this blood thing." I could feel like that's real, but if they decide, obviously, if they do go down this route and they decide to just keep it a Batman thing and not include any other DC heroes, okay, that's fine. That's your choice.
I don't think we'll see, real quickly, Ben, to your point, I don't think we'll ever see other DC heroes in this universe. If Matt Reeves continues on, it is just going to be Bat characters. But to mine, Sparks, and Ryan's point, it is really nice to be sitting in a place where any Bat villain can appear, even the more fantastical ones.
Yeah.
So Patrick Willems did a tweet that prepped me for what happens in a movie. But there's a point in the movie where they bring up Hush stuff, and they bring up Thomas Elliot, and they go to a mansion. I'm like, is this movie secretly a Hush movie and we didn't know it? And then it's not. Thank God it wasn't. Like Patrick said, this isn't a spoiler, but like they do Hush stuff that they don't really do it. So I was prepped, but like watching that movie, I was like, oh my God, like this is like it felt hushy for a second. I'm like, okay, they're not doing that. But like saying name Thomas Elliot, it's like, man, that's comic book shit. It's just when it's done right and done like they just implement it, it feels cool and natural.
Well, they mentioned Edward Elliot. That's Thomas's dad, right?
It's Thomas's dad. Yeah.
So like the second I saw Elliot, I was like, hold up, Hush? Are we getting Hush?
Yeah, and then they even put up on the broadcast thing, big Hush, and I'm like, that's silly. That's funny.
Yeah.
I really like all of the performance in this. We've already talked about a few of them. Selena Kyle, also great. Really love Zoe Kravitz. I love
great vulnerability.
I love the effect of losing her friend, her partner on her. When we find her in the back, that's such a good, powerful moment. I think the phone voicemail is chilling.
Oh my God!
You hear it.
Can't believe they played that whole thing. That's terrifying.
And the way it builds up to her taking on Falcone, there's a lot of great stuff. Jeffrey Wright is Ryan and I talked about it after. Like, he's not necessarily doing anything amazing, but I think his dynamic with Robert Pattinson's Bruce is really, really good.
Yeah,
really good. I really love his friendly nature. I do want to see more of him as this.
The scene that's in your background when they're talking, you gotta get out of here, man. They're gonna.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's really
the
good.
way he's like, you gotta get out of here, man. And I'm like,
you're gonna go through that door. You're gonna use this key.
You gotta punch me, man.
You gotta punch me. You gotta do it. Like, I really like his dynamic.
You could have pulled that punch. I did.
I'm too strong for you.
I really like that pull when he Sparks real quickly. When their dynamic is so good. Like when Batman drives up into the car, they're about to go up. Like Batman drives into the driveway of the building that has the skylight. But like when he goes like, "You didn't do that? I thought you did that." Really good.
I want to bring up 2 points based off that. One, this is the coolest, best integration of Batman with cops we've had in live action.
Hands down.
Really, really like it. I really like all the different engagements that he has with them, both with them kind of liking him, being afraid of him,
Martinez's whole arc.
upset with him. Like all of that I think is really, really good. I really, really enjoy it. I think that this was so much not what we got. Like this was a Batman who is uncomfortable with his place around police, even though he's untrusting of them. He's uncomfortable because he feels like he's in a weird space with them, which is just a big stark contrast from like I think the only other real presence we get of Batman with cops, which is in the Nolan trilogy,
Dark Knight
and
Rises
where they all kind of just like listen to him.
Yeah.
After Batman Begins, they just listen to him.
And Dark Knight Rises doesn't count because all of the cops are put underground because the city's been taken over. So like they have to work together as like a resistance, not as like real cops of the city.
Right.
Absolutely. This felt like it felt so much like it wasn't just about the character of Batman. It really is about Gotham and everyone in it, and how everyone from the citizens to the police deal with Batman, beginning and end of it.
Much like we talked about when we talked about the Spider-Man Raimi films, Gotham is a character in a way that I don't think it's ever been in a Batman film before.
Yeah.
It's had personality, but I don't think it's been a character. Gotham is a character in this, and not just a damsel in distress character.
God, the Times Square shot where it's like all the LCD screens, and I'm like, yeah, baby, that's what a Gotham City would look like. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's done very, very well. I really like it, even though we get like weird Marlon Brando cop. Which Megan just could not take seriously.
Also, nostalgia critic thug, the skull who looks like just like Doug Walker.
The Gotham as a character thing is like the way they've structured Gotham. It doesn't feel like it's a real place in America. Like it feels like this Gothic architecture lives in this living, breathing city. That feels completely original to something that we've never seen before.
Really, really love it. Really love. On a different note, like Gotham as a character is done very, very well. Really appreciate it. Pattinson does a great job with the differentiation, very subtle, between Bruce Wayne and Batman in voice. I love his Batman voice. I love his Batman voice because it's not ridiculous. This is pretty much the closest to the animated series we've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's just a little deeper. Yeah. I do like this version of Bruce Wayne, and I know it's not like contentious online, but like I know a lot of people are like, there's not a lot of Bruce Wayne, and the version we get, he's just a sad emo, and I'm like, yeah, this is a different take. This is still young Bruce Wayne figuring out Batman and figuring out himself. He doesn't need to put on the Playboy persona because he's not the dude. I mean, he is the dude like doing Bruce Wayne industry stuff, right? But like, I guess it just doesn't bother me. Like, it's okay to be like, he can grow into that Playboy.
I don't even care if he does or doesn't. Like, I what I got from the trailers was this: we were going to see an emo Bruce Wayne. I saw an emo Bruce Wayne. I liked an emo Bruce Wayne. I wanted an emo Bruce Wayne. I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I think
10 out of 10, no notes.
I think more than anything, like I didn't even necessarily like go to the emo description. Like it felt like a Bruce who was stagnated by the, like, truly not just like, oh, we talk about it and oh, it's the thing that made me Batman and now I'm Batman and that thus everything I do is righteous because I'm doing it because of that initial crime that was done. This is a Bruce in the live action film that was traumatized and stagnated by the death of his parents and continues to be that person up to this moment. And it is because of the events of this film that he begins to change into something else. But up to this point, he is just, every punch is directly him trying to get back at the person who killed his parents specifically. And it's very much feels like it's actually driven by that in the character. And he is slowly in this film getting to break free of being that person. That's why he has like these archaic ideas of how much you can trust other people, what is right and what is wrong, where the line is, that the line is his concept of like black and white, good and evil is very childish. He is not a complex thinker in terms of like where you cross on what side. This is a Bruce who, like, regardless of those guys robbing the bank at the beginning of the movie, he would have beat up the guy who was just doing graffiti if he was just doing graffiti, which is not necessarily the Bruce who we get to by the end of the film.
It's true.
Bruce who understands more nuance in, like, by virtue of having connected with Selina and learning things about how she's had to live and being checked for his privilege. Like, the fact that happens in this movie is great.
Hell yeah.
You talk a little bit about his ideals. I really appreciate and how refreshing it is, especially with the last iteration of Batman and all the discussion with it, that this is a Batman who is fighting for his ideals. It is a Batman who has more than one discussion about, we don't use guns, we don't kill people. That's not what we do. We don't cross that line. And one of my favorite moments in the movie is when they're on the rooftop with Selena, and Selena's about to kill the crooked cop, and he knocks the gun out. And as they're arguing, the camera once cuts to the gun because they're talking about the gun and they're both having that discussion. And I really liked amplifying that idea of this Bruce and finally seeing a Batman true to the comics fighting for we don't cross that line. We just don't cross that line.
Right.
I like
It's
that
really
a lot.
nice. It was really nice. And again, like you said, like multiple times. Like it could have been once, like to acknowledge, like, oh, Batman has killed, but like multiple times, it's like, yo, we don't cross that line. We are better than them. We have to be. And I'm like, man, Batman's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Right? Just cool. Appreciated it.
We haven't talked about Ave Maria very much.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the mother effing Riddler and his 500 followers.
Yeah.
That's the Riddler is so scary, but truly my favorite scene is him just like, hey guys, I'm back checking in. Shit's about to get crazy. Look me up. Like that is again kind of like Scream, what Scream did earlier in the year with Reddit stuff. Like so real. What a real villain this guy was.
Watching my favorite thing about Riddler is that even when he's not in this crazy getup, he's still scary. Like when he's in Arkham and he's talking to Batman and he starts saying Bruce Wayne, and one of the greatest reveals of the movie that Riddler may know who Batman is under the mask, only to reveal he doesn't know. We almost got him, didn't we?
Bruce is so narcissistic.
It's a good trailer misreveal too, because the trailer makes it seem like the Riddler knows. Mm-hmm. And that scene is so good because he keeps talking, he keeps saying Bruce Wayne, and Bruce is like, this mother effer doesn't know. And then he starts getting closer and he's like, oh, you don't have any idea. You're not as smart as I thought you were.
Having Bruce kind of like stand there in the shadows, having Batman stand there in the shadows looking at him, especially after he says Bruce Wayne, and like talking, like addressing Batman as Bruce Wayne, or so we think. Mm-hmm. And have Batman kind of like his eyes, because he's in the shadow, he's allowed to emote a little bit. His eyes kind of like widen a bit, but he doesn't want to break that Batman cool, that facade. And then when it's revealed, when Riddler says, "We almost got him, you and me. We almost got Bruce Wayne." That's when Batman like takes a breath and moves out of the shadows.
The audience takes a sigh with him too.
Yes,
dude. That I was gonna say that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, because the trailer made us think that Riddler knew. And the second he goes, Bruce, like you said, Bruce Wayne, and he says it over and over, it's like, oh my God, he knows what's going on. And then and also you see the truth unmasked. It's like, oh my God, he's gonna post that Bruce Wayne's Batman. Oh man, this is gonna be a really short career for you. And he's like, yeah, we almost got him. Too bad, huh? I was like, Matt Reeves, you slime mother ever.
You're very right. Like everything you guys are saying about the scene is very good. Like I like that too. The misdirect that you think that Bruce is, and it turns out that Bruce is just so narcissistic that he was convinced that's what it was actually all about. It is good because it is at the same time that he's about to tell Bruce, like, you're just not as smart as I thought you were. At the same time, the Riddler's not as smart as Bruce thought he was too. Ultimately, the Riddler does get like an upper hand, but so does Bruce on him. I thought that was really good. Paul Dano's really, really great. I'm glad that he's willing to crack his voice and go as hard as he did. And he in that interrogation scene is more of like what the comics are. He is allowed to bring that cartoonishness in his mania to it that allows me to be like, this is not realistic. This is not realistic, but it is
Ava Maria.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
Really well integrated into the film. Yeah.
The Riddler has a gang. Again, like the gang stuff of Gotham is so fun. Like all the dudes in Saran wrap love it.
This is one of my favorite things is that he has all those followers and like 12 dudes show up, and I'm like, how realistic?
Yeah.
How realistic? They're all like, they're committed, but they're like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I did have plans tonight for, I don't know if I want to drive all the way out to Gotham.
Yeah.
Talking about the Riddler, there's a thing that I really like in the comics about the Riddler, that he is so obsessed with the fact that Batman is smarter than him. He just can't believe it. He's driven him insane to the fact that Batman is smarter than him, and he just doesn't. He's like, I'm smarter than Batman. I got to constantly prove that I'm smarter than Batman, and that's kind of where my favorite Riddler lies. And that's what Matt Reeves brought from the comics to this reinvention of Riddler, is that when he can't stand the fact that Batman could be smarter than him. It cannot be true. And it kind of drives him even loopier towards the end of the film.
Well, what's fun about it is like the Riddler thinks Batman's on his side for most of the time.
Yes.
That's what's so ridiculous. And then it's like, I'm actually fighting you, and he's like, I thought we were BFFs.
Even more specifically, like the fact that the movie is willing to directly tackle, like, this is the death of the mobster era and the beginning of the supervillain era, and it is because of Batman. And like it directly tackles that. Like, I was inspired by what you were doing, and that is going to be the thing. Like, Batman up the ante, and the villains are happening in response, and so Batman has to find a different way to respond to it, but he's already triggered something. I really like that. I really like that this puts a whole button on like Falcone and the mobsters having run things. That we get the mention of Salvatore Maroni and everything. We get the implications of everything that ran before.
It is so
and
great.
then we come to an end of it, and like Cobblepot's going to rise out of this. The Riddler and the Joker are going to rise out of this. Whoever else is going to come is going to rise out of this.
There's an entire plot about like a comic book character, Maroni, and he's not even in the movie. It's so great that like he's just constantly referenced and mentioned, and you just have to keep up like, oh, this is an old mobster who blah 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 blah, right? Like that's cool that like they didn't do flashbacks with some famous actor. It's just a dude you got to keep remembering his name. That's really great.
They do so much good work with all the corrupt police stuff too. I think they do a great job of walking the line of like, you know, like who is on it, who isn't. Like not everybody's bad. I really love that you got all the people who's like not all the cops work for you when they capture Falcone. But I also think they do a great reveal, especially for Gordon. That like the thing that I think is going to shake Gordon out of everything. That is so crucial to his character is the moment where he finds out that the biggest bust that's ever happened in Gotham's history wasn't even real, that they just took over the operation instead and just called it a bust, but it didn't even exist.
And Falcone runs it.
The drop heads, great concept of like just a very simple, like giving us the idea of a drug, but not like directly tackling, just something unique and that we're able to pick up on. And like the concept of like, this is the worst thing that's happening to the people of Gotham is these drops. These drugs are the things that like you get like a glimpse of like how they are and how burnt out they are when you're in the orphanage that's been abandoned and you see them. Gordon refers to them as drop heads. You know, like this is something really bad and that has been pervasive and a problem of what's created like Gotham's current situation.
Oh yeah, the opening bank robber guy has a drop head, like his mask. And I'm like, oh, look at that drug. Are they enemy?
I really want to see this movie again.
I do too. Honestly, the only reason I couldn't see it again is because it's 3 hours long, and I'm like, man, that's also trailers, and I gotta get there, and I'm like, man.
I would love to see this movie again when I'm fully rested and not hanging on for dear life thanks to the caffeine in my cherry Coke. But this movie's just great. I love this movie.
I have a couple of notes I want to quick fire like Sparks does. Taking Sparks's bit. I love how it. What?
My Sparks notes.
Sparks notes. I really like the use of the grappling hook. The fact that it's connected to the arm and how he uses it. Great grappling hook stuff. He even uses it to catch the dude from falling off the building. Love it. Great. This has my favorite thing in Batman comics. That I love so much, which is that Wayne Tower has bat ears. This has a Wayne Tower with bat ears. Thank you, Matt Reeves. I got it. I'm happy about it.
I want to bring up a note. When he's about to jump off the building and he's like, oh shit. All right, let's do this. And he does this zip, and you're like, what's going on? And then he turns it into a squirrel wingsuit. Oh, so good.
I really love that this was a Batman who was intimidated by that jump. Instead of like being totally cool and just doing it. Like
I imagine
he was like,
I imagine he hasn't done this yet. This is his first like, I'm really gonna jump off this building like this.
And he hits the bus.
Yeah, that impact might have been too extreme with how like that dude would have been hurt, man. Come on. That's like Harry Osborn in Spider-Man.
Well, he would have, but fortunately, this armor is built with a bendable mask, not like the locked-in one, like Dark Knight. So he's able to like take that hit.
He can,
I love how bendy the mask is. That he can move of the collar. This is my favorite Batmobile. This is my new favorite Batmobile in live action. I love everything about it. The mirror sequence in the beginning of the movie when he's looking in the rear mirror at Gotham City as he's driving away. The book ended with him looking at Selena driving away. Mwah, cinema.
Love it.
Love it. No notes.
They did a Fast and Furious ending. Love it.
We knew this was the case. Stagecraft continues to be a very exciting new technology for filmmakers to use. This used it very well. I'm happy to see it utilized in a big budget blockbuster. Love it.
It's like The Volume. Some of the scenes where he's on top, like on a building, and there's like they're
Yeah.
looking out of the view with like the beautiful orange sunset. Not real.
Yeah, that's
Incredible.
That's what they do in The Mandalorian. Like as Ryan said, the volume, it's the LED screens, and is now making its way into films. Which weird that it happened the other way, that it went from TV to films.
Yeah.
But still really cool. It still continues to be a very exciting piece of technology for me that filmmakers are using and utilizing. I'm happy to see it in this movie.
Yeah, like listening to interviews, a lot of this movie was done on sets and sound stages, and it doesn't show. It's a really well made movie, like for being like a big city movie.
Yeah,
love it.
Doesn't feel claustrophobic.
Yeah, let's talk about the crazy ending of turning Gotham City into no man's land. Instead of it being an earthquake, it's a flood. Now Gotham is just a ruined city, basically, and now the king
partially anyway, partially a part of it.
Yeah. So the kingpin of crime, Penguin's probably gonna take over. You got that beautiful shot of him looking over the city. Really interesting place to put your Batman after his first movie.
Yeah.
Like really setting up the stakes of like, wow, you're like so many criminals are gonna pop up. It's going to be so interesting.
That's such a good point, because it is such an interesting place to put your Batman in the first movie. And the first movie we see, whether or not it's an experienced Batman or not, it is very interesting to go that route this first time around. And what it does is it creates such a bigger emotional impact of Bruce's character change than anything else would have, anything smaller scale would have. Well, it would have been there. It creates such a big, powerful moment when he's helping get the mayor out, and then the kid reaches for his hand, and he's leading the people with the red flare through the water. Like, beautiful, powerful button on that emotional arc, and just great.
And importantly representational of who Batman is, because he just had the shit kicked out of him, plugged himself up with some venom, and then cut an electrical cord and dropped himself into the water.
That was green, baby. That was green.
I love everything. Like, look, obviously Robert Pattinson didn't do the stunt where he swing shotted over, where he Spider-Man over to the wire. Love that bit where he's just like, I gotta do this. This is what I do. I gotta save all these people. Because if that thing falls, kills everyone in that water.
I'm just saying,
cuts the line.
Could have just cut a little under, so he could have held on. I'm just saying.
But then it's not as dramatic.
The electricity makes him like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you see like a flash of the electricity that makes him lose. Yeah, great. Oh, I like this movie a lot, guys.
There was one part where Pam was like, "Why is it always raining in Gotham?" It's like the drama.
It's Gotham. It's like Seattle.
It's Gotham,
raining, right? I don't know. Yeah, man. Again, like I can't get over like just how hopeful, and like the final shots of the movie are in daylight, and it's a little girl like
they're in specifically dawn of a new hope.
Of justice. That little girl reaches for Batman, like, don't leave me, you are the hero. And I'm like, man, this like it's really cool, because like it's, again, Batman, like traditionally you just don't think about him in the daytime. That's like a Bruce Wayne thing. And this Batman can be more than that. Like, so many comics have shown us that.
I think they did a great job, just bouncing back a little bit. I think they did a great job of still acknowledging like Selina's history as a woman of the night, but by doing it via her mother. I thought was a really good choice. The turn to making her Falcone's daughter, I thought was really good. That is in the Long Halloween new special that came out, that it's implied that she is Falcone's daughter. Apparently, I just heard about this, that Jeff Loeb's newest piece following up on the Long Halloween did imply that she not directly state, but heavily implied that she was Falcone's daughter.
Not canon.
Either way, this was still a great choice for this film, because it created that connective tissue and relationship that I think was really powerful and dynamic.
And he's so savage and gross. Like, the best bad guy's like, you're making me kill you. And I'm like, what an ass. I love it.
I loved his performance.
He's so like, chill, and like he's a horrible person.
No, he was Falcone, not Joe Chill.
Oh, there's a great Joe Chill reference, because like maybe it was Maroni, maybe it was Falcone, maybe it was some random mugger, and like those are all real things that could have happened. Like that's cool.
Because Alfred says like, I've spent every day trying to find out the truth of what happened, and we'll never know for sure, but I strongly think it was Falcone.
Yeah. I really like that change for Alfred for this, because this is not an Alfred who, like Bruce, who was a boy, just feels like, man, if only I'd done da 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 da. It was literally his job to protect them.
Yeah.
and he failed. And that is a different impact and weight that Alfred has been carrying this whole time, and I really, really like that.
True. Oh, the opening shot again with the mayor, and you see the flash of the Riddler's eyes.
Yeah.
Real horror shit. Sorry, Doctor Strange, you're not gonna get scarier than that. No way. That's the opening of the movie too, and the misdirect of like the Riddler using the goggles and then Batman using the goggles. I'm like, oh, Batman's also creepy.
Right.
Batman's a creeper in this movie. He's creeping on Selena Kyle the entire time.
And he tells her too.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, like you're admitting
he owns it.
It's amazing.
We hardly ever get off of Batman's point of view. Very rarely in the movie, maybe 3 or 4 times do we. And I think that was such a bold choice. Just constantly keep us on the same level. And we're not omniscient when we leave his point of view. We only know the information that Batman knows at all times. We're constantly going through the story with Batman.
Yeah. I
could compliment so many things about this movie from top to bottom. Something we haven't brought up at all. I think we very loosely alluded to it. Incredible score. Michael Giacchino's incredible score.
Man,
I listened to the score while reading our book club, and I was like, God damn, this fits any Batman book.
So yeah, the Batman score itself, it's incredible, and there's not very much there's not a lot of music in the movie. There's like 3 tracks that they use over and over again, which is not a bad thing. But I love Selena's track because it's like high strings. Love it. Batman's track's great. Actually using Nirvana in it works really well. Transitioning into the Batman theme, like
the thing that's so incredible about what Giacchino did is that he created a main foundation of what the theme was, but it's utilized with different instruments in different ways and in different lengths and stretches and tempos, depending on what is happening with who. Because it's not just Batman's theme, it's the Batman's theme in the sense of like, it is also the theme of Gotham. So sometimes it is the theme that is representational of something happening in Gotham, and it's played differently. So it is those same notes that you're hearing, but they're played out in different ways.
Like when he's in the police station, it's the same Batman theme, but it's more acoustic. It's an acoustic guitar, so it's softer. It's good thoughts. Good music, man. I also listen to it a lot of work, and it's mostly just the same da 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 for 6 hours. But I'm like, I can do it all day. I don't care.
One of my favorite notes, real quick on the Batman theme. One of my favorite notes about it is that the what you know, which is the bum 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 bum, is very good. The bells, the big church bells that are behind it, is what seals it for me. That's such a gothic tone to it that adds this like so much weight of whether it's the weight of the city or the weight of Batman is so good.
I don't have much else to say. Like the feeling. This movie is incredible. This is the same feeling I felt after Batman Begins. I'm like, this movie's so good, I cannot wait for the next one. Because if this one is this good, and this is the base of it, where can you go from here? And I'm like,
I'm so glad we're already getting the HBO Max spinoff.
Yeah, like they believe in it so much, and I think for good reason. Like everyone involved, like delivered.
And Matt Reeves is involved in every step of these things, and I hope that Warner Bros. Continues to be good partners for him. They'll continue to work on this franchise. I hate to see him leave. I think Matt Reeves is batting 1,000. I've seen every one of his movies. They're all great. Cannot wait for more of this.
I do briefly want to touch on where we think things go from here. I real quickly want to mention Mag's comment, which is I thought Chill even appeared at the funeral. I think I know who Mag's referring to.
It's the guy who's talking to Bruce for that can be implied. It could be Joe Chill.
It could be.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
We probably never will. I really appreciated what Matt Reeves was saying about the Joker. So for anyone who didn't read into it, what he was clarifying is he really doesn't know when the Joker comes up. In his mind, the Joker is not the next main villain. That's not the intention of the tease, which might bum some people out when that movie comes around, because I'm sure that's what a lot of people took away from it, because we're used to that kind of post-credits setup. But what he said triggered something in me specifically where I'm like, I kind of hope the Joker never is the main villain, honestly. And that's not to say I don't want to see the Joker again. What I think would be great is if the Joker has about the same presence as Falcone, or maybe even to a lesser extent Cobblepot in this film, in future ones, where it's just the Joker exists. He's not necessarily the main thing. In fact, I honestly, just like our book club, if the Joker only appears in the same amount that he appears in our book club, I think that creates the vibe that Matt Reeves is alluding to about the Joker, that the Joker is kind of representational of Gotham is always in danger, rather than the Joker ever need to be the main villain for our Batman when we're seeing these movies. And if that's how the Joker is utilized going forward, I am really stoked about that as a concept.
Yeah.
Because he's also made allusions to potentially
Mr.
Freeze as the next one. And I'm all about that because that's my favorite Batman villain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would love that. But I love the idea that we might just be seeing this Barry Keoghan as the Joker in a sense of like always a pervasive presence, but never actually our main guy.
Yeah, like
I think that would be lovely.
I think, we've had so much Joker. Like he's been the primary bad guy of 2 of these movies. So like having him be like an outside force, like having him be the guy who just gets hired, like, oh, I deal with Batman for a 10-minute scene. It's a really great scene. Like as comic books happen, like again, like our book club, like I think Matt Reeves knows exactly what to do with the Joker, and it's not to overuse him.
So I want to say 2 things real quickly. One is we've had 3 Jokers in the past 5 years.
I forget about the last one.
Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix, and now Barry Keoghan.
Oh shit!
I think that's very interesting that we've had that many Jokers. But so because of that, I totally agree. Like, keeping him kind of on the back foot, not necessarily main villain. The other thing is, Ben, do you know who plays the Joker?
No.
Druig from Eternals. There you go.
Makes sense.
There you go.
He's a good spooky guy, yeah.
The other thing that I want to talk about for like a potential future is Robert Pattinson has already said he wants this, which is the Robin dynamic.
Yes.
And what I love about that is that I think that is so critical, and I like that. I feel like that's where we have to go now. Not necessarily that in the next movie we need Robin, but I do think we need the boy who becomes Robin.
Yeah.
Because of how this movie ends, that whole sense of him now having hope is him having hope for the future of Gotham. The future of Gotham would be represented by a new Robin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's him investing in the future.
To potentially be the next Batman.
And I would love to see that dynamic. I would love to see Robert Pattinson get to play that dynamic. So even if we don't get Robin in the next movie, I hope we get the boy that becomes him.
Robert Pattinson sure wants it. Every interview I'm talking about, he's like, give me that 13-year-old boy.
I would
chill out.
I would
Maybe
love
not
that.
like that.
I would love that dynamic to come out into these films. I think that would be great.
Like it's obviously he's not any character, but like the main boy who is like constantly shown through the film, like heavy Robin vibes, and like again that character probably won't show up,
but more purposefully, I think like he's very good for what he's there for, which is like because you're not being shown the Waynes dying again and what happened, you are bringing your knowledge of knowing who Bruce Wayne Batman is. That is where you're expected to like have the pop culture osmosis of you understand he is a parallel to Bruce, and that is what Bruce is seeing.
Yeah.
And that is creating that emotional connection for you. It would be a decent window for a Robin, but I do think like
it won't be.
We have a clear palette of like what we could do going forward that I think could be very, very cool.
One final thing that I remember, when I don't remember when it happens, but Gordon has to like go against Batman, and Batman's like, even you, Gordon, and it's like he almost starts crying. Because the one friend he had betrayed him. And I'm like, oh, man, this is so good. All the Batmans have been really emotive under the mask. But, like, man, Pattinson just has those eyes that I'm like, man, you just look so sad all the time. I want to hug you.
I want to bounce off what Spark said about Robin real quickly. I think we kind of are in an interesting space with Robin that you can pick either any Robin that has ever existed, any Batman sidekick. And it fills the role that would be necessary. I'm not saying that they're interchangeable characters, but like any one of those characters can fill the role of that kind of like more hopeful, optimistic future of where Gotham could be identified in any of those Robins.
I agree.
Except Jason Todd.
Except for Damian.
Oh, right. I don't think we need Damian.
No, but like honestly, like this being its own universe, they could do Dick, they could do Stephanie, they could do Cass. They could do Tim. Really, they could do just any Robin.
I was having a discussion with Megan where I was like, honestly, I feel like
Tim Drake rules.
I feel like where we're at, Tim Drake is the likeliest candidate,
so cool,
only because he is probably the most malleable for adaptation, where fans will expect less of you to do specific things. Like we know what they'll expect you to do if you Jason Todd. We know what they'll expect you to do if you have Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Tim Drake, you're given a little bit more free reign.
He's a smart one. Just make him the smart one. You're great.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and that kind of goes back.
Fun fact: the boy who scampers off from the Joker gang,
who
gets scared of Batman, is Tim Drake in Titans.
Oh.
We didn't watch enough to know what happened, that kid.
Nope.
I think this kind of Robin discussion speaks to the point that like the quote unquote sillier elements can totally exist in this world and be done with the same care and love that we've seen with Batman. We can see Robin, we can see the Court of Owls. Honestly, like the Court of Owls would be a good antagonist for, I know they've been done to death, but the Court of Owls can be a good antagonist for specifically this Batman who is dealing with learning Gotham. And even like Dick Grayson has ties to the Court of Owls, so you could bring in Dick Grayson like that. Like there are ways that you can incorporate these things. And like honestly, I think Court of Owls might be my pick for where you go in a sequel, because that'd be really cool.
I was trying to for the next movie, and I really like the Court of Owls approach.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think it could be the next movie, because he needs to establish that he knows Gotham inside and out to know that there's something hidden under there. This entire movie is about him discovering hidden stuff. It can't be the next movie again. It has to be the third one.
I think if Reeves is intending to do a trilogy, Court of Owls is how you end that trilogy.
Yeah.
Because that is Bruce truly getting to like the bottom of the bottom, right, of what's going on in Gotham. And like there will still be super criminals, but he'll clean up a large element if he's taken on the Court of Owls by the end of that trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
See, what I'm thinking of, not to push back on anything you just said, whether it be the next one or the third one, doesn't quite matter to me. What I'm thinking of seeing, of like what got me excited about it is, you know, we always talk about that issue where it's Batman in the maze and he's going crazy and losing that. Seeing Pattinson do that, kind of do that storyline would be so interesting to me to see. It's so powerful. Just thinking about what he could bring to that story specifically got me just excited.
Oh yeah, bro! I got a Court of Owls tattoo. I like the Court of Owls. I want to see them all day long.
I think there's a very good chance that they're utilized at some point in this Reeves verse.
Yeah. They also want it. Like again, like these nerds.
I'm sure it's where we're headed.
It only makes sense. Again, you don't want to always use the same villains that you've used before. Like Mr. Freeze is a good one to use because the only time we've got him, he was Arnold Schwarzenegger. But like doing villains you haven't seen yet is also great. Do that too. Yeah,
I think one of the things, the reason why I wanted to highlight just kind of the Court of Owls thing is like, going into this, I didn't want to see the Court of Owls. I like the Court of Owls. I think they're kind of overdone. I don't necessarily know why I think that, but coming out of this movie, thinking of the future of where this could go, and like that immediately excited me, which I was surprised by. And it's just a nice place to be in.
Yeah, I agree.
I think part of the thing that I'm just trying to project onto you what I think I feel about Court of Owls is once you get that initial hit of the run that's really great that is about the Court of Owls, every time they get referenced after that, the sheen of it is off a lot. How much
has it been referenced though? Because after Scott Snyder's run, how much like
a lot?
I'm actually asking because I don't know.
Well, they did the not the Nightwing, not Tom Taylor's Nightwing, the Nightwing before it dealt completely with the Court of Owls, how he almost took it over. It was kind of like the
one that was during the run.
No, it was after that too. It was okay. It was after that. It was before the Tom Taylor run, where he kind of takes over the Court of Owls and learns that the Court of Owls is like a global thing, and that becomes like he's trying to take down the Court of Owls.
Okay, gotcha.
So they have been utilized, and there's been like I think Talons have popped up in numerous places.
Talon's on the Task Force Z right now. So yeah.
But like whatever. I was just saying it was a nice place to be and to be excited about something for the future.
Sure. Yeah. No, like I actually didn't know because I haven't read any of that stuff, so I didn't know they popped up in other places.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like it's a really great story, and part of the reason it's a really great story is because you kind of have to do it you really do kind of have to if you want to maintain it. That's a one and done.
Yeah.
That is I've unveiled the big thing. You can't unveil the big thing again.
Yeah.
And so anything after that is kind of watering it down.
Yeah.
And I do know that there have been allusions to that kind of stuff later in the comics and things that have happened. And I'm like, but you can't repeat that mixture. You can do a lot of different things with different villain stories, but you can't repeat the mixture of the moment that the Court of Owls were revealed.
Yeah.
That's a one-time thing, and you can't just keep revisiting that formula. But we haven't done it in live action films, so there's a lot of good precedent for that to happen.
Yeah. It'd be really creepy to see in this type of movie too.
Absolutely. I think it would look really cool in this look of the film.
Oh yeah.
I would love it. You know what I would love? I would love for Cobblepot to accidentally stumble into it.
Jesus.
Like
What the
not
hell?
that he gets involved, but he like steps into the wrong spaces as he's trying to build his rise to power.
I didn't
He's
see
like,
nothing.
Not even that we like really see. That's where we get our teases of it starting to happen. It's not even in the next Batman movie. It hardly even comes up in the next Batman movie.
Bro,
it's in the Penguin show where he's trying to make his rise to power, and he's like, "Why am I getting blocked in these weird ways? What's happening?"
Like it'll be the simplest. He's at the first big crime meeting. He's like, "We're on the kingpin of crime. Here's all these other villains, and there's one dude in an L suit. Like, what's up with that guy? Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
don't worry about it."
Yeah. Or like he's being interrogated by Batman and goes, "You don't even know the truth about Gotham City."
Ooh, Batman.
The cinematographer of this film is the same one from Mando.
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm excited for great things from this guy. I'm so happy he's doing films now.
Yeah.
Or he was doing films before and I didn't hear of him. Either way, I'm excited to see more of him.
Great job all around. You guys did it. A+.
You made the movie.
Shall we wrap it up then?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Since Ben, your yes was exacerbated, you go first. What would you rate it?
Sorry, I'm starting to get tired again. 10. This movie was fantastic. I can't wait to see it again. Fully rested and without being stupid tired. Other than the length thing I said earlier, I really don't have anything bad to say about this movie. I don't have a negative. Like earlier, Brandon, you said 10 out of 10, no notes. I'm like, more I think about it, I don't really have notes. This movie I love every bit of this movie. So 10 out of 10.
Sparks.
Oh, it's a 10.
Anything you want to add or good?
I feel like we've covered it pretty well. Like
Ryan.
I'm very pleased this was the Batman movie I wanted.
I would give it a 9.5. I gave Spider-Man a 10. I still think I like Spider-Man more.
Yeah. It is a 10 out of 10 for me. This is everything I wanted in this Batman movie, in a Batman movie. Well, not everything, but like very close. So jazzed with it. Love it to pieces. Can't wait to see it again.
I love my Detective Batman.
Me too. Shall we get into our book club?
Speaking of detectives.
Ryan,
Hey,
take it away.
hey guys. So we saw a Batman, and I'm like, let's do some more of the Batman. So I picked a book I haven't read in a long time, but it when I read it, it like blew my mind. I loved it so much. Detective Comics: The Black Mirror by Scott Snyder, by Jacques, and by Francesco Francavilla. This is a three issue mini series that leads into it's one big arc that has mini series in between. It's about James Gordon Jr., a very, very, very interesting young man. And I'm curious what you guys had to think about it. First of all, Ben, please tell me you read more than the first 3 issues.
Of course I read more than the first.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was very surprised when it said The Black Mirror Part 3 of 3. I was like, wow, this is gonna be short. And then once I got to the skeletal case, I'm like, I wonder, because you guys did that to me before. I got a book and it's like, dude, hey, there's more. I was like, no, only read the title bit. It's like, oh,
we did this to you, Ben. We did this to you.
I will point out that when Ryan named it last week, he said
it
is a
10
issue read.
Specifically,
it is long. Make the time for it.
Also, the unnamed website that we use to read comics sometimes has the trade that you could just read.
No, I did.
Anyway,
I read the trade. I read the whole trade.
I just wanted to make sure because it would have been only a part of the story, and that's a good first 3 issues. But that's not the core of the story.
At first, okay. So speaking of, all right, I'll let the other guys talk because I have a thing about this.
It's just it's a. So this is the period. This is one of my favorite eras of DC Comics. It is right before the New 52. This run got cut short because the New 52 got launched. Scott Snyder has said, I came on Detective Comics to write Dick Grayson. A year later, they told me I have to write Bruce Wayne. It's always bummed me out for an eternity because I love this comic. I love Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison. I love Dick Grayson as Batman. Even though he's not the person who should be Batman, I love him as Batman. Him as Batman is so fun. I love it. He's so funny. He's like, I don't have a sense of humor. I'm Batman, but he's constantly making jokes. I love it. I love
when he's stepping on the guy's feet, on Roadrunner's feet, and he goes, "Oops, look what I did. Oops, I can't believe this. Whoopsies."
Yeah.
Or even when I actually love when Jim Gordon looks at him after he turns the signal off. He's like, "What's up? What's wrong?" It's like, "Nothing. Just weird. Still seeing you there after I'm done talking."
Yeah, I love it. So I think this is a great story. Again, it is like 3 and then 1 issue like mini arcs that lead into one big thing about James Gordon's son. I think it's a really good horror story, and like Scott Snyder is really good at doing horror stuff, and like this is the team that makes Witches in a couple years, and it shows because like it's felt very spooky.
I loved this. I thought this was really great. I also like Dick Grayson as Batman, but this might be the favorite I've read of his so far.
Mm.
I think he's kind of allowed to do. I really do like his interplay with Damian, to be fair, but like I really do think his brotherly banter with Tim Drake is very fun.
Mhm.
Like when he's in the boat and he's talking to Tim on the side. It was, oops, I can't hear you anymore. This is you're on a 5G that we can't. Tim, can you hear me?
We're breaking up.
We're breaking up. Very funny. It's kind of in the same way that the Batman was. It's like darkly humorous. It's got this. It's not kind of outright making jokes. It's just funny in the situation. Very much love the writing of it. I like all the breakup arcs, how they kind of lead up together. Loved it.
It's definitely making jokes because it has one of my best jokes in any Batman comic I've ever read, which is, "Be careful, Red Robin. They're wearing sunglasses at night," which means they're very, very cool.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that's true.
I love that.
And you know what? I want to bring up, since you brought that up, I want to bring up my favorite line, which is, "All right, Bats, if that's the way you want it, then all I can say is, meep, meep, sucker."
Roadrunner, God.
The Roadrunner's so good.
I'm not gonna lie. One of my favorite parts, or that was like, oh man, I love. Or okay, the thing that solidified me loving Dick Grayson as Batman is when the girl comes with a shotgun and he points his finger back. He goes, "Bat taser."
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a cool.
We got
Oh,
you.
and-
We got you.
And again, like he has the biggest grin on his face, like, "Yeah, I got you, girl. 'Cause I'm Batman." He like
And he's just like,
Yeah.
"Bat taser."
One of my favorite lines is there's this laboratory that the Wayne Foundation set up for the cops to use, and they don't really want to use it, except for Gordon because he's nice. But Dick Grayson is there, and he's like, James, call me Dick, please. You drove me to high school prom. And he's like, "Actually, I drove my daughter to prom, and you just happened to be in the car, young man." And I'm like, "Oh, that's spicy."
Oh.
He did
You know,
his art.
I really liked when Gordon was like, your other business. Oh. And like Dick kind of has his moment like, "I didn't know you knew that.
Mhm.
I didn't know that you knew I was Batman."
But he doesn't. Well, no, he doesn't this part.
He does know.
No, yeah.
Right.
I love their dynamic. I love all the different the villains use. Like there's like some Killer Croc stuff. There's some like Mad Hatter tech. Like it's like
So I was going to tell you. So
the
stuff that starts at, that's actually, now that I've read it, I'm like, oh, this was clearly the inspiration for the opening of Batwoman season 3, which is where other people start getting pieces from the previous villains, and like either unintentionally or unintentionally, like with the Croc Kid, unintentional.
Yeah.
That happens. Mad Hatter tech is the next thing.
Yeah.
Also, again, like that one is intentional and then utilizes it. And like I was like, oh, that's clearly where this came from. Like that tech getting out there and people either unsuspecting or now getting access to it and utilizing it for their benefit. Like that was laced into it. So that's where it came from, which is really
That's
interesting.
awesome.
Yeah.
Is it season 3 of Batwoman?
That
already
was
on
the opening
season
of
3?
this. This third season.
Crazy.
So I want to talk about obviously the whole book, and also where I thought it was an anthology thing at first, because it's like, oh, part 1, part 3. It's like, here's the Black Mirror, 3 of 3, and then it's like the Skeletal Key, and I'm like, how? Well, as I was reading this, I was like, what's going on? And there's like a little mention of the Mirror House, and there's a little mention of the other criminals. But then once it got to James Gordon, like the finale, when it all tied up in a bow, I was like, oh my God, it all made sense. That's when I was like, that's what, because as I was reading, I was like, I don't know. But I'm like, no, I got to keep going. But once I got to the end, I'm like, one of the best Batman books I've ever read, hands down.
I thought this was an extremely thoughtful read. I really enjoyed how much you get out of it. You get so many different elements of the Batman world in it. You get creepiness. You get to focus on so many different characters. I really like what they do with James. I really like his first interactions with Gordon in the book that you read, which is where they're really playing you on both sides of like, yeah, he's good. Is he? Yeah, he's good. Is he?
Oh,
He's
man.
bad.
So
No, wait, is he?
So many great pages.
They do a great job. The him constantly watching the bathroom as the water's spilling out in that first interaction. Very, very
I just
good.
had the page open and it's like, what's on your shirt? Oh, it's blood. I killed the waitress. Dad, it's just ketchup. I'm joking. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know though.
And then you finally get to the ultimate confirmation when he comes to the boy from their childhood past that bullied him in the basement.
There's a sense that like what Scott Snyder wanted to do is kind of create James Gordon Jr. as Dick's Joker, right?
Yeah.
Like this, like it's James Gordon Jr. is Dick's Black Mirror. It is the evil reflection of Dick Grayson, and kind of in the same way that the Joker is the evil reflection of Batman. I liked that dynamic. I think that plays off really well.
Dick Grayson, he oozes empathy. He is the most care. That's why again I like him as Batman so much, because like he cares, like, not that Bruce Wayne doesn't care, but he cares more about people than Bruce Wayne does. He is a regular person who's just able to experience that in a way Bruce didn't, right? Because he's going through his own weird Batman stuff. Like the way he's able to connect with people is so great. I love it. The way he talks, again, like all the stuff like with Tim, with Damian, the stuff with Babs, I love. Their chemistry is so good. Again, Scott Snyder, like one of the best Bat writers for the whole family. Like just good stuff all around.
Yeah. The seeing James Gordon Jr. in the flashbacks, kind of almost like the egg from Puss in Boots. Like I was there the whole time. He's at the party, the auction, and he's like, "This is James Gordon Jr. right behind."
Oh, the little arrow.
Like this is him, that he was right behind Dick Grayson the whole time.
They give you so many avenues for the story, like the Peter Pan killer that you focus on for a while, and then ultimately you realize that the importance of it is that Gordon starts to get convinced that it was him and not James, and he's like, "You got best," and he's like, "Oh boy, like we are in such murky waters here."
The scene where he's hanging the killer off the ledge, and he's like, "I came to visit you and your boy, and I looked your boy in the eyes, and I saw a monster.
Yeah.
I saw a murderer," and I'm like, James, the art, like I like Jock's art. He's like kind of more ethereal witches art. But Francesco Ficavilla's art is so stunning, and the colors pop so hard. And every time James interacts with his son, he never smiles. Every time James Jr. is like, "Bye, Dad," James is like, and I'm like, this is a really emotionally like hard book. And I'm like, it allows James to be like, I don't know what to do with my son. I truly want to believe him, but I don't know what to do. Also, his plot to de-empathize children to create more monsters is incredible. And it's a plot element that has not been rediscovered yet. So there's some villain in the future that's going to be a little baby, potentially a baby that's like, I have no emotions.
They left themselves a very big backdoor of like, we can make a lot of bad people.
Yeah, like potentially like all of the children in Gotham are evil. Like that.
We don't know.
All born at a certain point.
Yeah.
We don't know if it happened. We don't know if he did it before we caught on. We don't know if we stopped it. We'll never know. And then like the hint that there's the baby that could be the next James Gordon Jr.
Who's just giving the 1,000-yard stare and it's like that is freaky.
I love his plan of like, so I started to do this drug trial to help fix my problems. And then I re-engineered that drug to do the opposite. So it only makes me the worst person I could possibly be. And I'm going to do that to everybody. That's a really good evil plan. That's a really spooky plan to de-emotionalize people.
I realized that having empathy is the problem.
Yeah. Like it's awful.
You're all weaker than me.
Yeah.
I thought I was the one with the problem, but you're all the problem.
God, I love it so much.
Yes, I think it's a very, very well thought out story. It has so many good beats. I love the introduction of a lot of these characters. We get the daughter of Zuko.
Sonya?
That Dick has to face and doesn't trust, and has to contemplate his own, like what he's bringing to the table
and
already to that relationship, and then what he has to believe in and what he has to assume about people.
That's so good because like the person who murdered his parents, this is their daughter, and she's like, I'm not a bad person. I am a good person. I've spent my whole life trying to be a good person. But then maybe she does something that's bad. And Dick's like, what am I tried so hard to believe you. This is the reason I don't trust people.
You get the pirate. Who I love. I love the pirate.
Oh my God, Tiger Shark.
I think I have a picture of this guy. Hold on.
So interesting. Yeah. So what is Zuko's daughter in this again?
Sonya Branch.
Sonya, she's like, yeah.
So interestingly, there is another. This plotline has been revisited by Tom Taylor, and I had to double check. In the current run, Melinda Zuko is the estranged daughter of Zuko, who was the mayor of Bloodhaven. I find that very interesting.
Well, unfortunately, the New 52 happened, and then they rebirthed it, and now just Sonya doesn't exist anymore, I guess.
Who even knows what exists anymore?
Yeah. I think some of the art in this, I can't show it on here because of grains and stuff, but like some of the art is so stunning. And even though I was kind of dissing Jock's art a little bit, like it's not bad. Like there are some images where it's like a huge face in the middle. Yes, this exact panel. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
That's Francesco's art. Yeah,
but it's when Gordon takes James out to the woods, and they're with Barbara and everything. The colors, the way Gordon is centered in it as the panels are moving around him is just so good. It's such incredible art throughout this thing.
This is like Afterlife with Archie, like pre all that stuff.
There's another one that's just Gordon when he's looking over the files, and it's the silhouette of James around him. It, like presently overpowering him.
This Joker cover, one of the greatest covers of all time. I almost got this tattooed, but it would have cost like $800, so I didn't get it.
Frankavilla is one of my favorite. Frankavilla is one of my favorite artists. I've been following him on Instagram for a long time. I loved him ever since I saw his Spirit artwork. And then he's done Moon Knight. He did Moon Knight with Lemire. Great work there. I love it whenever he gets to do. I buy some of his covers sometimes. Whenever he does covers, I love his art so much. And so I love seeing his artwork in like main comic panels because I haven't seen it in such a long time.
It pops. The scene with James Jr. and Barbara. Can you see it? Yeah. Where he has 2 knives in her legs.
Yeah.
But because
in her femoral
arteries. But because she's paralyzed, she doesn't know that they're there yet. So he uncovers a blanket and he's like, "Yo, if you pull these out, you will die."
When he lies to her that fakes her out that he suggested
the Joker,
what led to the Joker paralyzing her.
What an awful human being.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think he has shown up again in a different Batman series that I have not read because it wasn't by Scott Snyder. So I don't know what James Jr. is doing now. I doubt it's anything as cool as this. He works for Dick so well. He does not need to be going against Bruce Wayne whatsoever.
I really, really do like all of this. I love the way that it crescendos into that interaction between James and Barbara, and the way that they go about each other. That he's like, "You always saw me for what I really was," and at the same time that felt bad. Like it also was a relief because it meant that I was right in knowing who I was going to become and like all this kind of stuff. And I thought that was all just so good. I really liked. There's a line about Gotham that Gordon says earlier. If you're thinking about visiting Gotham City, all the travel guides give the same piece of advice: visit in the winter. They all talk about the snow, how it makes the city look fresh and bright and new. Read between the lines, and it's clear that what they're saying is you should visit Gotham when the real city is covered up. I thought that was really, really great.
The same thing. The very first page talks about Dick Grayson and like when he's a traveling circus, and like there's different points on the map, and there's a black pin in Gotham, which means go all out, no safety nets. You go as hard as you can. And yes, why that says because some cities are just that hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like, that means so much. I love it. Like Gotham is hungry for like the most you can give it, like good or bad. This again, like. This book is so good, and I love Dick Grayson. He shouldn't be Batman, but like it's nice that we have this era. I wish it lasted longer than a year because I love it truly so much. Babs as Oracle. That's like this is like the DC universe I want to see. Bruce Wayne is doing Batman stuff with Batman Inc. You have like Knight and Squire in London. You have 100 Batman everywhere.
This is my favorite Batman era, my favorite DC era as well. This is when the 2 like best titles were Green Lantern and Batman. Like wonderful era. Through and through. There was something
good use of the Joker. Again, like I alluded to it earlier, but I thought a very nice balanced use of the Joker. I love that his presence is basically they're like, you're wearing too many feathers. I'm waiting for the real bat.
Oh my god, that is so good. Yeah. Like you're not my Batman. Get out of my way. Yeah, that's so fun.
I wanted to ask you guys, because I did get a little confused in this one about Gordon's family. I wasn't sure who was the ex-wife, who was the current wife, what was, because there's a bit where James Gordon Jr. says when they first brought you home talking to Barbara. I was like, wait, you're older.
No, I got it. Okay, so it is confusing. Barbara is the name of the mother, and Barbara is also the daughter's name. There's not a junior or a thing like James Jr. There's also Leslie Tompkins, who they had an affair in Batman Year One, but they're not connected. Barbara is the name of both the mother and the daughter.
And I knew that, but like Sarah is James Gordon Jr.'s mother.
No.
right?
No.
No.
Barbara
Sarah
Barbara
is
is Junior's
The
partner.
stepmom.
Sarah is both their stepmothers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Sarah is Barbara and Junior's stepmom.
Okay.
Barbara is mom to James Jr. because
Okay.
we see her because after they split and moved to Chicago and Jim married Sarah.
Yes.
She brought Jim Jr. with her to Chicago.
Sarah is mom number 2.
Yeah, Sarah is mom number 2 because she says when they're in the cabin when we see Bess, it's like, oh, silly, don't call me Mrs. Gordon, call me Sarah.
Right, but it's weird because he calls her Mrs. Gordon.
Yeah, what
not
I'm confused
Sarah.
on is who is like what is Barbara, because they said once you brought
James Gordon Jr. does say, because he, even though it looks like he's the younger brother, he does say when they brought you home to Barbara, implying that he was there when she was born. That was a little strange.
Yeah, I mean,
that could be a misprint. That could be a misprint. Maybe they meant to say it to be maybe they meant to be Barbara's dialogue, but it was weird.
I'd have to relook at it. No, yeah.
Barbara Eileen Gordon is the ex-wife of James Gordon and the mother of Barbara Gordon and James Gordon Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sarah is just the new mom who's like, I'm the stepmom.
Sarah's the stepmother. Sarah is the current wife and the stepmother of both. And we're still confused about why James Gordon Jr. says when they brought you home, Barbara. Okay. That's all I needed.
No,
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure it out too. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we need to do more detective work.
It could be a mistake, a misprint of something, or it could be read wrong.
I think the only part that confused me is the part where Barbara says, "This is James, my stepbrother," and I'm like, "But he's not your stepbrother."
Yes,
I thought
that was also confusing.
Oh, I think because she was like with friends, right? When she said that,
yeah.
I think she was like, "You're not like my real brother. You're my stepbrother," kind of thing.
That's why, but that line is why I thought that James Gordon Jr. was Sarah's son.
After Flashpoint, Barbara Eileen Gordon is the mother of Barbara Gordon.
This is before Flashpoint, though.
Right. So
not
the truth at this moment in time.
Oh no! Don't do this. You can't do this.
I was mostly talking about for this book, but yes, I did know that Sarah Gordon is not a character anymore at post Flashpoint.
Sorry, Sarah. Yeah, man, Black Mirror. If you've never read this book, I mean, you listen to us talk about it, so like, I hope you read it. But like, incredible book, love it. Sorry, Dick, you're Nightwing again, which I ain't mad about. Honestly, I love it.
I think James Gordon Jr. is quote unquote cured at this point. The last time I remember seeing him, he helped Batman on something.
I do not like that at all. I'm sure it's good, but I don't like it.
I mean, I don't remember it, so you take that how you will. It's also something like, look, Hawkman died before he had an ongoing series, so like, it doesn't matter. What is comic book continuity if not fluid?
True.
Well, no, I just mean like, I don't want James Gordon Jr. to be a hero.
Yeah, I would like James Gordon Jr. to pop up again because like I like the idea of giving Dick Grayson a Joker, and I like James Gordon Jr. in that role, and I'd like to see it happen again.
Same.
Real quick. So, during the post-crisis continuities, Barbara, the daughter, Barbara Gordon, was reimagined as Jim's niece. Her actual father being his brother Roger, and her mother being a woman named Thelma. This was due to the then recent creation of Barbara Eileen Gordon and retrofit the name discrepancy into continuity, which was Jim's wife. However, some issues imply that she was conceived in an affair between James and Thelma, so his sister-in-law. Following DC's second Flashpoint event, Barbara was then became the daughter of Barbara Eileen, thus named after her mother, much akin to James Gordon Jr.
DC, what are you doing? DC,
I love it.
Come on, guys.
I love it.
So she was at this point the daughter of Jim from an affair with Thelma
and Louise,
which explains the line when they first brought you home, because it would be they're introducing the two siblings, the two half siblings.
Right.
Wild.
Interesting.
Anyway, Dick Grayson smiles. Take that, Batman.
That Gordon family's complex.
It is complex.
Before Flashpoint, then it's clearly simplified, which maybe that's.
Oh my god, yo, like, it's not gonna happen, but like either like in the Batgirl sequel or in like a Batman movie, like James Gordon Jr. could be a. Well, no, we just got a serial killer. We can't do that again. I think we gotta do something different.
He'd probably be pretty old at this point. Pretty young at this point.
You should introduce J.K. Simmons in the Reeves verse as Roger.
Jesus. Oh Jesus.
on the show.
I posted a thing about, like, I'm sure you guys saw it, but like, you know, if Michael Keaton is the Batman of the DCEU, does that make Michelle Pfeiffer the Catwoman of the DCEU, or are we making Anne Hathaway the Catwoman of the DCEU just to mess with the continuity?
I saw that tweet.
Excuse me, making her the kid.
And then they said, so some people said Halle Berry, but I think we should get Tessa Thompson as the original 70s Batgirl, the Catwoman, because she looks like the African American actress who played the role.
Kit.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Anything else we want to add about the book?
I think it's terrific, and
Great
I love
read.
it.
Great read.
Glad you liked it.
Loved it. All right. I'm going to...
Can
My
I
turn
wrap
next
that?
week. My turn next week. I'm going to keep the Batman train running because I'm interested in reading this book, which is Batman Imposter by Mattson Tomlin with Andrea Sorrentino as the artist.
I read this book last month.
It recently got the hardcover came out last week, I believe, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's written by we talked about it when it was announced, but it was written by the writer of the Batman. I've been interested in reading ever since, but I'm waiting for the hardcover. So now it's out. So I'm going to do it as a book club if you don't
More
mind.
Batman.
There you go. So stay tuned for that next week. We're still kind of trying to figure out what we're going to do, but perhaps Turning Red or perhaps the Adam Project. And Ryan, you won't be joining us next week. You're on vacation.
I'm taking a vacation.
Yeah, a well-deserved vacation.
It's truly been years since I've done anything with my life, so yes.
All right, so that'll do it then. Stay tuned for that. Mag, good night, sir. Always
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
You can check out some of our other shows. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. You can check out our audio feed, such as Conversation, which is working on season 2 right now.
Woo!
Excuse me. Check out our Fake Nerds Watch series. Once again, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Check out our Fake Nerds Watch series on this channel, which is only available video. There's a Peacemaker one that recently went up. There's Book of Boba Fett that recently went up. Star Trek Discovery is ongoing, for now at least. And Star Trek Picard will start soon. Since the series has started, we'll get that going. And it looks like our next one might be Moon Knight if we like it enough to do it weekly. So exciting.
I mean, I'm sure it's Moon Knight one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it sometime.
All right. And of course, our Basement Arcade series, which Mortal Kombat X is the current series for that. Check that out. Basement Arcade Pause Menu, a new episode just recently went up. You can find the links for both the audio and the video in the description below. Ben.
Yeah.
It's your show.
It is my show. I love doing that show.
Do you want to say anything else?
About this week or the one that might be coming up soon?
Either. I don't care.
Yeah, definitely check this week out with all the stuff with the Wii U and the 3DS eShop. It's definitely a good listen. Definitely will get your brain scratching and thinking about things.
Cool. Fake Nerd Book Club and Animation Station or other shows that we have on this channel. Hey guys, check out some of our masks. We have those still linked below. We have a couple left. Crafted by Z masks for the pandemic, just to hide yourself like Batman from germs.
My baby's here.
Find that link below, as well as our TeePublic and our Patreon. Both of those links are available below, or you can find them on our website at www.fakenerdpodcast.com. Check out all the links to all of our shows, all of our merchandise, all of everything. Everything's there. It's a great landing page, but it's linked below. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. Thank you to everyone who watched the live channel show. The live show pop in every now and then. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci. You can find more of him. He did all the music for tonight. He does all the music for our shows. You can find him on Instagram at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards, or you can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, on iTunes, Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProc Podcast. Thank you to Mike Matola, our good friend Mike Matola, who does a couple logos for us and does collaborations with us that we love. Hopefully we get him on soon. You can find him on TikTok and Instagram at Mike Matola. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast. FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for Screen Rant, which is linked below. I also write a series of Revisiting the Infinity Saga and write freelance for Atomic Geekdom that you can find. And I am the website editor for Kaiju Ramen. Ben.
You can find me trying to squeeze as much free time as I can to play Elden Ring at BenMagna27 on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, both the website and the magazine. GoNintendo.com, which, gentlemen, GoNintendo.com is launching in 12 minutes.
Ooh.
Monday. So as we're recording this, it's coming out the following Monday. So woohoo! My first article is a review of Gem Wizard's Tactics. What do I think about that game? You have to read the review to find out. And also, I am writing for Fusion Gaming Magazine, and the first issue with me in it is issue 31. And it's not just gonna have one article by me; it's gonna have two. I wrote a quick little piece over the weekend, and it's gonna go in. I saw what it looks like. I'm like, yay!
I forgot to mention, I have a piece in this latest issue of Kaiju Ramen magazine. The 5th issue is out. I have a piece of the new video game Dawn of the Monsters, which I enjoyed writing, and I hope people enjoy it. Sparks?
You can find me waddling away from ever writing a piece like the Penguin in this film, one of the best moments ever. At Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan?
You could find me trying finger, comma, butthole in Elden Ring every day of the week, leaving messages in that game. One of life's greatest desires. Try finger, comma, butthole.
Okay.
Thank you for subscribing. Have a great day.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.